for the week. I'm your host, Sal the Slab Guy. As always, I got my usual partners in crime, but tonight we got a special guest star to this side of me. Look at that. I even pointed to the right side. Brandon from M.O.N Comics. Let's go ahead and get some info out of the way. Like I said, my name is Sal the Slab Guy. You can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner and under Instagram as a Slab Guy 77. But down below to in this corner over here is the master of Instagram. He is Instagram. I've heard this man beat up Elon Musk just to get a Darkhawk out of his hands. He just said, no, bam, and took that Darkhawk. Dan the Man Kelly, how you doing? Why don't you tell him where they can find you, buddy?
Yeah, so like you said, on Instagram, you can find me at Dan Kelly Art. You know the spiel. I post a few days a week, art, music. Haven't posted music in a while, so maybe I'll record a song and throw something up soon. But yeah, go check it out. Give me a follow. Give me some likes. I'm running the Kickstarter right now for the original artwork, so you can get a sketch card, you can get a sketch on a backing board, you can get was it the Bristol board? You can get a sketch cover, a sketch cover graded by with the yellow TGC label. You can get all that. Go check out the Kickstarter. I think I got like 10 days to go, 12 days to go, something like that. I'm a little over halfway there, so check it out. Give me your money so that your money may become my money so that I can use that money to then buy more comic books that I could put on this rack behind me.
That's a worthy goal.
And bring us some worthy content. Yeah, bring us some worthy content too.
So, and you can check it out. I just posted the start of a Deadpool Wolverine drawing that I did since I was so excited after seeing the trailer, which just looks fantastic.
Marvel Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, in the first 30 seconds, he makes a joke about Disney and pegging and looks right at the camera. And I'm like, anybody that had any thoughts about maybe this is going to be watered down, you could put those thoughts to rest.
Yeah,
definitely.
After you're done checking out my Instagram and after you're done going on the Kickstarter and giving me your money, this guy beside me, I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said before? He's custom made. He looks good. He smells good. He can dance all night long. If you want it, then come and get it. Because if you want to be the man, you've got to beat the man. But no one can beat this man because he's in town for a party all night long. He's the Ric Flair of comics. He is Uncle Gary.
Woo! That's why you're my road manager, baby. You know how to bring it in style. Thank you for that. And remember, follow Dan on Instagram. We got a goal, 1K for DK. We're trying to get him there, get to that.
Get that big D across the finish line.
Bringing that big D across the finish line. That's right. And we all, we all have custom art by that man, and it is pretty phenomenal that his art is gracing our wonderful comic emporiums that we all have at our house. So yeah, 1K for DK. Find him, and let that man's art be on your wall. All right, so I am proud co-owner, Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please come in and see us. You can catch me there every Wednesday when I'm getting my new books. I get that 4-color ink. I inject it right in here and in there, and it builds muscles. Comic books, I've told you before, comic books make you strong because you're picking up a book, you're turning the pages, and then you love it so much you're picking up a stack of books. Then the next thing you know, you got a short box. Then you got a long box. And then you've got another long box. And then you're stacking long boxes. You're picking them up. You're moving them from here. You're moving them from there. And next thing you know, you are jacked because all them long boxes. And do a few push-ups too. So that's how you get strong. Comic books make you strong. At Comic Logic, we do a Facebook Live show the first 3 Thursdays of every month. We do a preview show the first Thursday. And the second and third is me, principal owner Rob Kalin, and my very best friend in life, Mike Harbor. And we do the Ye Grumpy Olds Nerd Show. Sal's a frequent participant on that show with us. So yes, come see some old man nonsense, talk comics, pop culture, sports, anything that strikes our fancy. At the end of the show, we'll tell you, get off our lawns. That's how we roll. And we at Comic Logic, we've got a pretty big deal coming on Free Comic Book Day. So if you're in the Northern Virginia area, please come out on May the 4th, Free Comic Book Day, and coincides with the Star Wars thing on May the 4th there. We have a signing by Mr. Brendan Wayne. Mr. Brendan Wayne is the fella that does the acting on The Mandalorian when the helmet is on. That stuff is Brendan Wayne. Now, not the stunt work, but the rest of the acting is Brendan Wayne. Not only is he on a show that everybody loves? For me personally, that makes a lot. He is John Wayne's grandson. So that is pretty awesome to me because John Wayne is my guy. I love me some Duke. So the fact that I'll get to meet John Wayne's grandson is big. It's so big.
Man thing took a tumble.
Man thing is so excited he just couldn't stand it.
Because you know what? John Wayne is so bad that it caused the man thing to be scared. That's when it's bad. That's when it's bad. The man thing, he burned at the thought of John Wayne. So there you go. So please come see us. We'd love for you to be there. And as always, we've got to give some love to our good buddy, Archduke Kevy, that started the Comic Character of the Day site. That is a site that got us all acquainted. So the reason that we're all here talking to you is because we got acquainted on that site. So we owe Archduke Kevy a lot of love. I post a cover every day. Dan posts a random panel of the day, question of the day. Sal is a frequent collaborator and contributor to that site. So please, let's give him some love. Now, you've heard from us. We're here. We get the normal stuff. But today we have a special guest. When you see Codex shows, you see a whole panel of people. There's a whole litany of hosts here. We all have talents. We all have strengths, and we can't do it alone. But our special guest, he goes it alone. He is branded from M.O.N. Comics. He is a one-man band. He is the show. He is the show. He is out there, M.O.N. Comics, middle of nowhere. He is in upstate New York, and he doesn't have the help we have on Codex, so his shoulders are even bigger and mightier than ours because he is holding his whole channel up just by himself. And that alone is a reason to go and subscribe to his channel because he is Paul Bunyan up there in the wilderness, and he doesn't even have his blue ox yet. He is blazing this path, cutting down those trees, creating that wonderful, wonderful vista for you to view when you see M.O.N. Comics, and he's doing his damn self alone. The one, the only, the head of M.O.N. Comics, the tail of M.O.N. Comics, the body of M.O.N. Comics, the soul of M.O.N. Comics, Brandon from M.O.N. Comics.
Man, there's no
Welcome.
show. Anyone who does a show, an intro like you guys, you guys are second to none. It's just the love you feel when you come on your show and the love you guys give to each other is amazing. And Uncle Gary, I haven't told you, but this is my coming up on my 1 month being back in the gym. I decided to try to lose some weight. My back got hurt a couple months ago, and I said I got to get in better shape. So Sunday marks my start at the 1 month. So I've been eating healthier, no processed foods. I cook all my meals. I meal prep for the week.
Nice.
And I feel better already, And so you were an inspiration to that because I see your guns, and I'm like, I'll get to Uncle Gary someday. I'll get him up there.
This is a 60-year-old man. I'm almost 60. I'll be 60 this year. So
I'm 43, so I can do this. You are my inspiration.
He said that. I'm sitting here like I ate a damn chicken box all by myself.
I do the 12-ounce curls. I do the 12-ounce curls.
I want to eat everything.
I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know what that is, Brandon, because apparently I didn't realize that the chicken box is the term is like a regional Maryland kind of thing. So it's just a box full of fried chicken and fried potato wedges and all that. So
I assumed it was something that I shouldn't be having right now, but I really want to have.
So I went to Royal Farms today for lunch, and I got I
got some good chicken.
My chicken, it's banging chicken.
That's
got
good. Some good chicken.
The wedges and the 4 pieces of fried chicken. And
nice.
That ass sat there at the desk at work eating.
Brandon, don't let him make you salivate.
I miss fried food. I really do.
Brandon, I'm proud of you. You're doing good.
Thanks,
listen,
man.
Yeah,
it's a work, and as we get older, I mean, this is all serious. As we get older, we lose muscle. Is one of the big things we lose. The one thing I've managed to do is I managed to hold on to some muscle, and that's important as we get in life. Now, today I rode on the bike. I did over 6.5 miles on the bike today, and then this was also push-up day. I did 350 push-ups today. First set I do 110 straight. Not bad for an old man. 110 straight. My
Like I
old
said,
buddy.
at all. Not bad at all.
You're in my inspiration, man.
Well,
That's
Well,
after the
that's
first
awesome.
few days of the gym, I was like, this sucks. I forgot what it's like to not. But it's been getting easier and easier, and I've been increasing weight a little bit each week. I got a good friend in my
Good.
channel helping me and holding me accountable. I'm sending him pictures at every meal to make sure that I'm eating right, and it's helped. So
Well, I
Very
will tell you this. Yeah, because I had some AFib problems a year, going into at the tail end of 22, and I had to quit eating all the bad stuff I was eating, and so I started last year, and I lost a good bit of weight during 2023. I worked really hard, got back in shape, kicked the AFib to the curb, but the thing is, we can't live a totally Spartan life where we don't eat anything that's enjoyable. The thing is, though, to do what you're doing, start out good, start out hard, get there, drop some, and then get to the point where you can mix in. You can go out and eat some of the stuff that you really enjoy that's not great for you, but mix it in occasionally. And
that's exactly what my friend said. 80-20. Once you get down,
Yes.
once you get down to eating good, 80-20. I treated myself for the Super Bowl. I went to my friend's own a barbecue restaurant. I had some wings and barbecued pork nachos, and it was great. But I'll tell you what, that night I felt like crap. My stomach hurt.
Me and you both. I ate whatever the hell I wanted to on the Super Bowl, and the next day I felt like crap. I felt bad. My body was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
All right, let's check out the chat here really quick because we got some people in the chat. We can give a little shout out here. There we go. Doug says, "Hey everybody," and we also got TJ.
Thanks for joining us again. TJ suggested us do Jonah Hex the other week, and we had a great show.
Oh yeah, that was. And of course, Jamie's got to come on the channel there, even though he's not on the station. But we'll go quickly past that.
Did Jamie fire you when he's not on?
No, he cannot.
He
cannot fire me or suspend me. I'm in charge here, so this is it. This is this is it right here. The buck stops here. The buck stops here. Snoopy,
damn,
all
Jamie.
right.
You just took over.
Yep.
You control the horizontal. You control the vertical, right?
That's right, baby. That's right. Just like the outer limits, or
TJ, you should be.
Don't be concerned because I've got a wide angle lens here.
Yep. Nothing to be concerned tonight.
You'll see every bit of it.
There's no saving testosterone treatment if you need it.
I was gonna say, so I gotta ask. I know I watched, I've watched some of your brand. I watched some of your shows and your podcasts. I subscribe to it.
Damn right it was. Push-ins are also my favorite exercise.
Oh.
Woo!
And then of course Pam says hello.
So I know that you mentioned before how much you like the character Man-Thing. What was it that, because Man-Thing is, let's face it, he's not a super prominent character.
Mm-hmm.
So when you started getting into it, what was it about the character that made you go like, this is the one for me. This is the one that I want to not just occasionally, collect stuff, but I want to go after all of it.
Oh, yeah. I love swamp creatures to begin with. I'm still a fan of Swamp Thing. The Heap, anything that crawled out of the swamp, I was really just loved as a kid. Creatures like Uncle Gary and horror. But Man-Thing was a lot like me in that I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'3". I'm 275, working on getting down to, 230 would be nice, a healthy 230, 240. But he's very lumbering, and he lost his ability to communicate, and his memories only come back in shots, and he's an empath, and that's a lot like me. I'm a big lumbering guy. I feel a lot of emotions. Sometimes I don't even have to talk to feel how people are feeling, my family, my friends around me. But you don't want to piss off the big, nice guys, right? Like Uncle Gary. Anyone who's a big, you're a soft teddy bear until you're not, and that's what I loved about the Man-Thing. He could save babies. He could feel that empathy for someone who was going through something similar to him. He didn't need to talk with people to be compassionate about it. And if they were messing with someone that he thought didn't deserve it, he could feel that, and he'd step in. And that's why I identified with him.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, are you guys ready to kick this show off then?
Let's flip and do it. This is great.
I was going to say, my suggestion, that Man-Thing book that you have right behind your head, the lights hit it, hitting right the slab. I think you should swap it with the Spider-Man one so that it can be like real clearly seen, because that's a nice looking book there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my jewel with Mr. Bruner. How's that?
No,
Yeah, that's a lot clearer there.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was trying to do a setup like Uncle Gary because he has a nice table down low. Oh boy, timeout.
You're good.
All right, you guys do
I've
the
got
show. Do your
slab
thing.
here, but like I look at your slab wall the same way I look at Sal's, and I'm like, the stuff I have doesn't quite compare.
Thank you. That's all right. I mean, spent a long time collecting that as well. All that's good stuff, and all these boxes over here that you see. All right, well, a couple more comments from the crowd here. Speaking of Spawn creatures, was there any comics of the creature from the Black Lagoon? I don't even know about that one.
There was now from the original movie. I imagine there might have been a movie adaptation, but there was one just about. There was one from.
What's up, Gary? Thanks for joining.
Hey, Gary's Grails. Thank you. That's my good buddy, Mr.
Oh, there you go.
Monster World Mag.
And there was a square bound creature from the Black Lagoon book that gosh, did Art Adams do the art on it? Not long ago. Maybe I'll look. Maybe in the 90s. That I had just seen recently. So, but there was there. But Gary from Gary's Grails. We talk about action figures. That's the man right there. Going on an action figure hunt with him is an epic journey, an epic quest. So, go see him. Gary's Grails. Find him on YouTube.
Definitely do that. All right, let's go ahead and kick this show off. Then we're going to go ahead and go with groovy bass tones. So you guys, 30 seconds. We love groovy bass. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week. We take one character, we do a deep dive on that character, we give you badass moments, we give you top covers, we give you top stories, we even do some criticism of that character as well, and a whole lot more. I am your host, Sal, the Slab Guy. As usual, I have my partners in crime. I'm going to go catty corner over here, which is going to be Dan the Man Kelly. Always find him on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. Down below me is the man, the myth, the legend, the Ric Flair of comics. Coming to you from Library Comics. And of course, give me the woo. Give me the woo. Woo! There we go. Thank you very much. To my left is Brandon from M.O.N Comics. This was his character. He wanted to come on our show and said, hey, can we do Man Thing? And of course, Gary was like, yeah, we could whip out the giant size Man Thing.
Yes.
So, tonight we are covering Man Thing, and we're going to give you all the good stuff about Man Thing. Like I said, cool covers, badass moments, and some great readings. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Doing good. I know you're excited. You're always ready, to do a Man Thing. So,
who, me or Brandon?
You.
Me? Oh, I'm always ready. I'm always ready.
I do man things every day. That's all I do all day. Man things all day.
Man things all day. Every day.
I want to. Was it TJ that asked a question about the creature from Black Lagoon on CLZ? There was a creature from the Black Lagoon by Dark Horse Comics. The art was Art Adams and Terry Austin did it. So there's a creature from
what
the
year
Black
is
Lagoon,
that?
1993. 1993.
Okay. So there's no other creature from the Black Lagoon?
There were a couple others, but that was the one I had remembered.
Oh, okay, got you. I was wondering what his first appearance was.
There's a Universal Monsters, let's see, that had a creature. Oh, that's part of the Universal Monsters set that Dark Horse did. They did a Dracula, Frankenstein creature, and a mummy. Oh, the mummy is an awesome cover. And then there was a Universal Monsters, the creature from the Black Lagoon lives, and that was done. Oh, that's 2024. That has not come out yet.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness!
There you go. That is. Oh man,
look forward to
cover.
And let's not forget too.
Look at that cover.
Oh, that
Oh
is.
yeah.
That is
That's
amazing.
sick.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I did see that before.
Yeah, I put that's a matter of fact, it's coming in previews, and I put in for it. So there you go. There's a brand new series.
I was going to
Awesome.
say, and
We deliver on this channel. Damn it!
let's not before we get into this, let's not forget the cinematic masterpiece that I was excited to hear Brandon reference early on the last time he was on Codex, and that is the amazing movie that is The Monster Squad.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the
Doing-
Man-Thing movie from the 2000s that I get pissed
No.
about. The Monster Squad. Yes.
No, as I heard you reference it last time, and I was like, yes. I used to be in a band that our band name was Wolfman's Got Nards.
Shut up. You were living the dream, brother. Yeah. Big part of my childhood. You know, that and Goonies were like, you know, interchangeable.
I used to rent Monster Squad from the video store like all the time. And now when they released it a few years ago, when they released like the 25th or 30th, whatever, like the 20th anniversary DVD, I went out and bought it. And I was like, this movie's, it's so bad, but it's so good.
Me and you both, brother. Me and you both. Yeah, I mean, they got the Universal Monsters together. I mean, that's just awesome.
Yeah,
my dream for years was to have enough money that I could buy the rights to it and turn it into like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer type TV show.
Dude, there's probably room for that.
Nice.
But we digress. We're here for another creature, another monster. The Man Thing.
The Man Thing. Go ahead, Dan. Give us the info on this guy.
Well, his first appearance
creature.
his first appearance was in the book that appears right beside Brandon's head there, Savage Tales #1 from May 1971, created by Stan Lee, Roy Thomas, Jerry Conway, and Gray Morrow. I mean, that's a cavalcade of comic goodness there.
Mm-hmm.
So his origin is that he was a biochemist named Ted Salas who was working with the
Sorry, go ahead.
Dumb. He was working with a team of scientists in the Florida Everglades, and see, that's where his problem was there, man. If you want good things to happen, don't go to Florida.
Florida, man.
And they were trying to recreate the super soldier serum that had created Captain America. He ended up being betrayed by his wife to AIM. I don't think it was AIM at first. It was kind of later that it was AIM. So he destroys his notes. He flees with the only sample of the serum, and he decides the only way to save himself is that he injects it into himself. But he crashes his car into the swamp, and then the scientific forces from the serum and then the magical forces from what was later revealed to be the nexus of realities transformed him into the Man Thing. He lost his ability to speak. He lost his memories of his life, his identity. It was revealed later, like I said, that it was a nexus of realities, which he then became the guardian of. And that's kind of primarily what he's been known for decades now. As far as his powers, he's the big man thing from the swamp. He can sense emotions when when he senses fear, he secretes a strong corrosive chemical that burns to the touch. He has superhuman strength and durability. He's immortal. He's practically invulnerable to harm. He can open portals to alternate realities. He's essentially someone that you don't want to piss off.
Yeah,
that was a great breakdown.
Thank you. And let's get this out of the way too. People, ever since I was a kid and saw when I, a wee lad when I started collecting comics and saw who Man Thing was, I was like, that looks like Swamp Thing. They've always been compared. Man Thing appeared before Swamp Thing. So for people that I've heard say over the years, like, oh, he's just a Swamp Thing knockoff. Incorrect. If they're, they are very different characters, but Man Thing was the one that appeared first, much like GoBots appeared before Transformers.
That's
a very good analogy.
But Man Thing and Swamp Thing both are knockoffs of the original, the OG Swamp Monster, the Heap.
Yes.
The Heap begat all the Swamp Monsters.
Yes.
And that was in the pages of Air Fighters magazine. I have a couple old Golden Age Airboy issues where the Heap is in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked that up. They're not cheap. I was like, I'd like to have that. Oh shit.
Yeah. Not until you win the lottery, my friend.
Yeah,
Not
I guess I'm
until you win
okay
the
with
lottery.
Savage Tales one.
Yes. Yes. All right.
And
So
matter of
before
fact,
we go,
I'm looking into buying a Savage Tales one now because I don't have one, and because of doing this episode, I was like, you know what, I probably need to get that. So that's all.
Prices
That's
have gone
all.
down drastically. It's great.
Yeah,
And I'll
that's
tell
all.
you this: if he says that he's looking into buying it, you could just mark it down that it's part of the Library of Comics.
I figured. I've
you
seen.
can.
I'm not going to
You
doubt it.
can.
Well,
Is that a Baltimore? Is that a Baltimore pickup?
a fellow I know named Damian Hill
Yes.
from Warthog Comics has 2 copies, and one of them may become mine. Yep. So
Nice.
Ooh.
yeah. So
All right.
I'm looking at that, and again, thanks to Brandon and his inspiration, and reading
Yeah.
the original tale. I read that original Strange Tales issue, and more on that later. But I was like, you know what? And Gray Morrow, how
Oh,
good is he?
what a freaking
Yeah.
genius.
How
He had a
great.
tragic life too, man. Do you guys know, like, I'm sure Gary, you might, but you know, he went on to illustrate and stuff, and then he got sick with Parkinson's.
Yep.
And unfortunately, he couldn't handle anymore in Pennsylvania in 2001. He took his own life.
Yep.
And it's similar
Sad.
to the Wally Wood story, man.
It
Yeah.
took away his talent. He couldn't.
It
He
did.
couldn't draw anymore. And yeah,
Yeah.
And he was a genius with that.
Oh.
It was me.
yeah. His shading, his use of his not so much the shadows, but the shading he would
Mhm.
use were really
Mhm.
just phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff, it didn't need color. It looked gorgeous in black and white. It's one of those
Yeah.
ones where you look at it in black and white, like I don't want color on this. Like this
Yep.
color would mess this up.
But
And
he
it
did
had
do
great-
great, like Chilling Adventures in Sorcery when he did the cover for that with in color. That was great too, but it was different. It was showing
Mhm.
demons and how Halloweeny
Yeah.
stuff, and like he did that well too. But I agree, Gray, the man thing or first story being black and white just
Yeah.
works.
Yeah,
It does.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. All right, so let's go ahead and shout out to our sponsor, which is WGG. If you head on over to w.gg and use the code word -X, you can actually save 10% on your order. I can't find this thing now because I am sucking at this right now. Where's the WGG thing? Well,
I will
I'm just going
say,
to tell you about him.
while you look for it, I'll say TJ said Florida Man should be a comic. That would be a pretty funny one.
I could have
Yeah.
swore there is. I thought there was an indie comic out there called Florida Man that I may have seen somewhere.
There might be. There we go. There's a movie or a series called Florida. There's a movie or a series called Florida Man that's on Netflix. It was really good.
There was one that came out. I think it was
Look it up.
Image a couple years ago with the character was Billy Ray Valentine, maybe, or is that Eddie Murphy in Trading Places? Well, anyway, it was a
Yeah, that was
screw up.
that was
was Trading Places.
Yeah, well,
Great
it was Billy
movie.
Ray something, but he
Siren?
was a total screw up, and he got all this power, and he was just using it for the wrong reasons. Scumbag. The name of the comic was Scumbag. And it was
Oh,
a
okay.
couple years ago, and he sure as hell could have been Florida Man.
Oh yeah,
Uncle Gary,
Florida Man.
Uncle
It's by,
Gary pulling that out of the
by
hat,
Mike
man.
Barron.
He's just pulling that information.
But there
out of
is
his hat.
one.
Yeah, by Mike Barron.
Nice.
I could have
All
swore
right.
I saw it somewhere.
Let me circle back to this sponsor really quick. That
Yep,
way,
sure.
because I've got the ticker up here. That's all right. Go over to WGG, save 10% by using the code -X at checkout. Definitely, it's a good, clean energy drink. There's no, and Brandy, you all right there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, all right, cool. We heard something crash in the background. We're making sure it was all right.
Then,
All right. It's a good, clean energy drink, folks. You can check it out. There's no bad aftertaste. There's no jitters. There's no sugar crash. It's better than any of the energy drinks out there on the market right now. So please go check them out and use that code word to save 10%.
And they have a new limited edition flavor out right now too.
Oh, what is it? I haven't seen it yet. What is it? Do you know it?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I got the email about it the other day. They partnered with someone to make this flavor, and they said once it's sold out, that's it. They're never making
Oh.
it again. So
All right, check it out. Check it out.
I can't
All
remember what it is, but it sounded like it'd be good.
Man Thing Moss, maybe.
Man Thing Moss flavor. That's right. All right, so our first segment of the night is what works best with this character. And Brandon, since you are a special guest star tonight, you have the privilege of going first on all our segments tonight. So please tell us what you think works best with this character.
I think him being an empath works best. I talked about that when Dan asked me what I liked about him. I think the fact that he loses his ability to communicate with people, to understand what they're saying, and it relies on the writer Steve Gerber to really tell that like story of how he's feeling, and it just creates a whole different story than if he was just a talking character. He can feel the fear, he can feel distress, he can feel happiness, he can sense everything's okay and walk away, and that works with me that they're able to do that.
Awesome. All right, Dan, what do you think? What works best for you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I did read the one series where what's the name that R.L. Stein wrote, where he was like the man thing, and it was like, but he was fully Ted Salas's intelligence and speaking and all that. Yes, he's called.
He's called Ted. Sorry, good.
He, was like that, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, that just, it just did not seem like the character. It didn't seem right, it's better when he, like you said, when he's the empath and, and I don't want to say like all of everything he expresses through emotion, or it's almost physically, because he's got no face where, really where you could see it. Like, it's a lot in the eyes. Like, I noticed, kind of the way like Mike Plug would draw it,
Yeah.
would have a lot of emotion in those big eyes that he has. So I think he works better that way, where he doesn't just, he's not going to be able to just go up and explain himself, like Swamp Thing, to make a comparison. And Swamp Thing has the intelligence, everything, and talk to you and all that, but Man Thing doesn't. So he's, even more monstrous looking, but has no way to say like, oh, I'm here to help. It's okay. You could trust me. Like, so, I think it's much more interesting having him that way.
It had to be conveyed in the drawings, really, of how he felt.
That's exactly it. That's one of my points.
Like, it has to be conveyed in the drawings, and everything that he does has to be conveyed through actions, because he can't communicate any other way, and because he doesn't have the intelligence that he once had, so he doesn't really know how to. It's almost like like a wild animal to an extent.
Yeah. All right, Gary, how about you? What works best for you?
I believe he also works best as he's a creature. He's a monster. And it's all about the emotions around him, which cause the cause and the effect of how he's going to act. And I know that, I view a lot of how I'm viewing Man Thing is through the lens of the Swamp Thing, who's one of my favorite characters. And I've always liked Man Thing, but I haven't done the deep dive on him. But just from what I knew, and then from what I've reinforced with what I knew this week as we studied for the show, Man Thing is more of a creature. He's more of a monster. The intellect of Ted Salas is buried way, way back in there. We don't see Man Thing making decisions to do something for the greater good to help this person. It's the emotions that he's feeling drives him to do things. He's more of a animal that way, whereas Swamp Thing, it is Alec Holland, his psyche that's making these choices and doing things, whereas Alec Holland is more of and like Brandon was talking about how he identified with the Man Thing. I think I identify with Holland because he was the tragic hero. He's the hero that knows exactly what he is, but he's trapped in that body. And when he would have instances to relieve himself of the duties of the Swamp Thing, but because like with Arcane, could have taken him out, he couldn't let Arcane have that powerful body and those powers and what he would have done to humanity. So he's the tragic hero. Man Thing, you don't get that because there is no voice narration. You don't know what he's thinking. It has to be, and in a lot of ways, it is trickier to tell a story that way. You have to be really gifted to tell the story when your main protagonist doesn't make conscious decisions. He is driven by the decisions of others in his book. So a lot of times the Man Thing is, he is part of the story, but he's not the driver of the story.
He's like a supporting character.
Well, a supporting character, but he's like a force of nature.
Yeah.
He's a force of nature, and what these other characters do determine how the Man Thing will act. So to me, he's more. I think he works best that way, and I like the difference because if he was thinking and doing all this thing, then he and Swamp Thing are it's totally the same thing. But the Man Thing is in his own lane. Yes, he's a swamp creature, but it's his own lane, and the fact that he is driven on these emotions, and that's what feeds him. Because there have been good people that have even been hurt by him because the fear they're exhibiting and all. And if he hurts them, it's not because the Man Thing is bad. It's just like an animal. Yeah. That's what he does. That's what his instincts are.
Primal.
Yeah, right. Survive. I just find it fascinating, and he's drawn to it. These emotions, he's drawn like a moth to the flame. He can't decide I'm not going to get involved. You can't help it. You have drawn the attention of the Man Thing, and I just think it's an interesting character. And again, you've got to be really. It's got to it's quite an exercise to write for him because you're writing about this creature, but you're really writing about the other characters that end up motivating the creature, So I think that's interesting, and I think that's I like having that different take on him. So for me, that's how he works best, as a creature of pure emotion that is a monster, and whether he's good or bad depends on who he runs into and what they are, what they are putting out into the world. So, I kind of dig that. That's I don't know of any other character that has had his own book that is like that. I think it's a totally unique in its very own lane.
Yep. I totally agree. So to echo you guys' comments, I mean, it's his empathic abilities and his primal instinct. He's not acting on any type of conscious choice. It's purely instinct that he's reacting on. And Dan, you mentioned this with the eyes drawing from Mike Plug. Exactly. That's, you could read the emotions in his eyes, and that's how this story is actually written. And it's probably a pretty tough way to write a story without writing words to it. But seeing the Man
words, like, you can't write dialogue, you can't write
thought bubbles, nothing.
It's all just like, like I said, he's just there until something happens that draws him in.
Right. And Brandon, if we're wrong on this, please tell us. I mean,
you're absolutely right. And Snoopy in the chat echoed that. He said he's a semi-sentient plot device. Yes. He just happens to wander upon things happening in the swamp. Whether it's a girl getting taken advantage of, or the constructions that's trying to be by F.A. Schist, which I love that guy's the antagonist name through much of the beginnings of it. F.A. fascist, whatever. He's just these people are in a swamp, and he just when something presents itself, like Gary said, the emotions, he's drawn to it. He has an effect, either it's good or bad. And so I agree wholeheartedly. Like everything you guys are saying, I agree with spot on 100%.
And listen, Brandon, and if we're wrong, so please tell us, because none of us here have anywhere near the width and depth of your knowledge on this character. So
absolutely,
it's hard to remember a lot of it, to be honest. Like I reread a lot of stuff these past few weeks when I was prepping, because I had read them, years ago, and then when I recollected them and got the books, and some I had forgot about, but you guys were spot on. Like that's the empathic thing works for us all, obviously, for a reason.
Right? Absolutely. And if you guys see something in the chat that you like, call it out, and I'll put it up on the screen. Okay.
All right. I was gonna say, I'll say this too. You mentioned the live action Man Thing movie before. I will admit, I have not watched it because I remember when it came out, and I was like, "Well, that looks terrible."
Dude, I watched scenes of it. I haven't watched I watched scenes of it, like on YouTube, because someone said there was one, and I just watched scenes, and it seems very similar to the whole F.A. Schist storyline of he wanted to do an airport. I think they were drilling for oil in the movie, but it wasn't Man Thing.
But I liked because that came out like right at the start of the MCU. That was like the last kind of, here's this kind of shitty thing we're putting on the Sci-Fi Network.
Yep.
But the way they did him in Werewolf by Night, I thought was fantastic. He looked monstrous. He looked great. He did have a little, he wasn't the complete mindless beast that he is a lot in the comics. He did have some sense of, some awareness to him. But
when Elsa's like Ted, and he's like, huh?
Yeah, he was still. It was almost like when you see these people that like train wild animals, like a bear or like a gorilla or something, where maybe not a gorilla because they're they can be pretty smart, but like a bear, a wild animal, where they see the person like, all right, they recognize it, and they play around stuff, but it's still like a wild beast. It was almost kind of like that, where okay, he has enough awareness to him that he can. He could be there with Jack Russell and kind of with his body communicating stuff, but you do get the sense that like, all right, he is just this, this big monster. But I thought the way they did him in that was absolutely fantastic.
You couldn't said it better. And the thing is, comics don't read the same as movies, right?
Yeah.
They've always said they can't make the movie exactly like the comic because they will lose the regular folks. And the nerds like us will be the only one entertained because we know that a comic can convey that stuff through words, through those, like Doug Bakken saying, his echoes of his conscience are always nagging at him, and they show that in a block. You can't do that in a movie. They have to change it a little bit. But yeah, when that came out, it blew my freaking mind. The black and white, Jack Russell, the guy who played him, and their whole, being their chemistry together. I was like, and it was only an hour, and I'm pissed. I'm like, but
I was hoping they do another one this past Halloween and not just, we're going to colorize it. No, like you ruined.
But you know why they had to do that though? The strikes were going on. So I think they said, you know what? People loved it. I thought the same thing. I was pissed too at first, Dan. And then my wife was like, dude, the strikes are on. They can't put any new material out. So what can they do? The best thing they could do is change it to black and white, even though I believe the black to color. But the black and white at the end, when they played Somewhere Over the Rainbow and colors took over, you lost that magic. You lost that impact.
Yeah.
So I couldn't agree with you more. I could say enough things about
that was the Ted and Jack show.
This is a signed piece from the lady who played Azrael.
Mm-hmm.
In that show. Her cousin is on YouTube under Angry Otter Comics, and he found out I like this, and he sent out for this signature for her, and she sent me this nice letter and this nice 8x10. And I've also got a Man-Thing comic that's with Jeff from Comic Spa that's signed by the practical actor who played Man-Thing in the show. So I'll send that to CBCS for signature verification.
Nice.
So big fan of the show. I digress. We could do a whole show on that show.
Brand, do you have the Legion of Monsters issue?
I did. I just sold it because I'm upgrading. I had a 4.0 CBCS and I've got my eye on an 8.0 CGC.
Nice.
So
that's the only cover Nick Cardy did for Marvel.
No
shit. A big deal. I'm a huge Nick Cardy fan. That's the only Nick Cardy cover he did.
Yes.
So Doug says the black and white is better, but the colorized version is definitely worth watching as well.
It was because of the blood, like when they got to do the blood and stuff and the gore.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our next segment, which is badass moments. So, Brandon, go ahead and give us your badass moments.
Badass moments. Okay, I had to go. I'm going to go from my number 3 to number 1, if that's
go ahead. That's fine. Do it.
Okay, so Man-Thing, Volume 1, Issue 2. He gets in a fight with a biker gang protecting this girl, and Rory, what's his last name? Rory, I forgot his last name. Later becomes a DJ at the local station and stays. I'll look up his name in a second.
I can't remember.
Okay, I can't remember it either, but I know this scene though because.
But the biker guy tries to take him out with a chain, and it just gets sucked into his body. And he leaves them for some reason, but F.A. Schist has hired this guy to set a trap for Man-Thing in this metal shack, and it's set up with electrification that the Man-Thing wouldn't be able to take. They think it would just cause him to disintegrate. So when he was in the shack getting electrocuted and almost dies, he has the foresight to take that chain out, and he rips the chain out of himself and smashes the whole machine and destroys the trap. So when I read that the first time, it was like, whoa, he just took it, how many people can take a chain, he's a very unique superhero in that sense.
Yeah.
That, stuff can move right through him and it doesn't matter. He's lost every organ and stuff. So I thought that was really cool for my number 3. Number 2 selection was Man-Thing Volume 1, Issue 6. which is like the second part of the story of He Who Laughs, about the clown that commits suicide in the swamp, and his spirit comes back, and they're judging his life. And all people are characters in his life. Like Man-Thing is his inner demon, and Rory is like him as a kid. And then like I forgot the girl's name, but she's in it. And at the end of that issue, they divulged that the three people that were watching this show was a denizen of heaven, a denizen of hell, and a denizen of like the middle realm, and they were all badass characters. And Man-Thing, like the clown, like, you know, he had paid for his penance of suicide, the Man-Thing thought. And when he felt like that energy coming off him of like, no, I did what you asked, you know, he went after, and he takes out those three, like he takes out the denizen of heaven, hell, and this middle realm, like it's no problem. Like that is badass to me. Like, you know, like people from other dimensions are showing up beyond them, and he just takes care of them. Like I love that. But my number one badass moment is when comes back as the Man-Thing in his origin story, and he's fighting those two agents, and he burns them. But then Ellen, he's like, and you've caused me the most pain. Like, I don't know who you are, but I know. So he torches her face. That is just like, you know, revenge to the fullest right there. And he doesn't even know why he's doing it. He just feels it. And he's like, he knows, he's like, I know you caused me pain. So those are my three.
Nice. All right, Dan. What's yours, Dan?
So my first one is from Adventure into Fear number 10. The issue starts off this just real piece of shit tries to kill his, you know, Brandon Hardy knows, throws his infant son off of a bridge, and Man-Thing just happens to be at the bottom and catch it, you know, and then, you know, takes it and gives it, you know, I don't know, they never really explain how he knows where to take the baby, but he like takes it to the grandparents, and then he, you know, goes to the, you know, the guy's house, and just, you know, the guy's terrified of him running, and then he like burns his face, and you get the impression that it was so bad, it was really bad, because they never show his face, and Man-Thing just walks away. But, you know, as anyone that is a parent, like I, you know, as a, you know, parent, I'm reading that being like, yeah, F that guy, I'd do that too.
I almost chose that. I almost chose that for that reason.
I would do worse to that guy. Like, so there's that one. There's another one that it's not technically a badass moment, because it's not a comic that was actually made. There was this book that they did a long time ago. I don't know if you guys, you know, have seen it. It's called Marvel Knights Millennial Visions, where they basically had all these creators come in, and it's almost like they just said, write, you know, write an out of the box pitch for, you know, whatever character, and it would have like one page where it would have, you know, the text that would have the kind of story about it, and then the next one would be, the next page would go with it, would be like a full splash page art. And excuse me, one of the characters in it was Man-Thing, and it was Mike Diodato that did it. And I'm sorry, not Mike Diodato, Jim Calafiore. And the Man-Thing he drew, I wish he had done more, because if you just look up the image he drew, it's so awesome. But, you know, where he wrote in it for his Man-Thing story would be that his wife, you know, this woman had been killed, and the monster like completely overtook the man. Like even the little bits of consciousness of Ted Salas that was in there, you know, like everything was yes, I get he's called Ted.
I'm gonna do that every time you say Ted. See, even
Ted gets mad.
Ted didn't like that.
Yeah.
Okay. But the monster like completely overtakes him, and the nexus of realities got destroyed. And because of that, there were several universes that were just completely obliterated. And the main Marvel world, the one that we read, wasn't wiped out, but the swamp that Man-Thing is from completely overtook the world. None of the heroes were able to stop him, and it wiped out all non-swamp life in existence in the world. It overtook it all, and then it reads, he wrote to at the end of it that like the consciousness. Having some trouble with your man thing there?
There it is.
Listen,
Yes.
this is what I
Fun.
did. When I have trouble with it, I usually just sling it over my shoulder. So there we go.
This time,
and he was saying that like the consciousness of Ted Sallis is buried deep in him, and is just horrified at what happened. But you read it, and then you see the artwork that Calafiore did, and where it's Man-Thing there, and then he's got like all these characters like Iron Man, them just like overtaken by Swamp in there, and it just looks awesome. I had to throw that in there as as a badass moment, because it could have been if they had done that story, and I really wish they had. Yeah. And then the other one I have the last one isn't really, it's kind of a cop-out. It's not really a specific moment. It's the tagline, which has got to be, if not the best tagline in comics, it's one of them. Mm-hmm. Whoever knows fear burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. I mean, that's as badass as it gets. Like, that's such a cool tagline that they had to, that I had
agree.
To put that in there.
I think that was a good move. I like that poll.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have a Rider 95 here. No, this is TJ actually. Rider joined in. I actually took the wrong one, but let me jump to that really quick here because
William's awesome. William is on Instagram, has an unbelievable Marvel card collection of Man-Thing, Ghost Rider, a ton of stuff. He really good guy. Loves the character too.
Nice. Oh, I want to say hi to Richard as well.
Richard, what's up, Richard? What's up, dude?
Yep.
And Erica from SideQuest Comics. Awesome guy.
Yep. There's
Gary's
Richard joined the chat as well. Gary's Man-Thing keeps dropping. Yep.
When it's that big, what are you going to do?
Whip this out.
Yep, right there.
Gary, you got to keep control of your Man-Thing.
Yeah, please, Gary. Control your Man-Thing.
It's exciting. I know. Brandon beats his. He's spanking his Man-Thing.
Do you guys call your Man-Thing Ted?
I sure do.
Because he's called Ted. All right, Gary. Why don't you give us your badass moments there?
All right, and just to it's kind of funny. So we talked about the whatever knows fear burns with the touch of the Man-Thing. Last week we had a pretty cool one with Jonah Hex. His two constant companions are the acrid smell of gunpowder, and death.
Death, yeah.
Those are great. If we ever do the Warlord, it'll be in the land of Scarteris. If you let your guard down for an instant, you will very soon be very dead.
That's awesome.
So that's really good. So my badass moments for Man-Thing. I also read about what Dan was talking about with where the Man-Thing swamp took over everything, and I haven't read. I would have liked to read that story too, but that sounded badass enough for me that the whole world was taken over by swamp and the heroes couldn't do a damn thing. That I like that. The other one, my number 2 one, is it's been described, and you all have described specific instances of it, but I'm just going to call it the Man-Thing's signature move, the burning face palm.
Yes.
That is a signature move. That is like the claw, man. It's just that is it. And how many people got face burned, face corroded? So
and they never show them either. They never show them, like you said.
Yeah.
It's always like the person huddled over and grotesque.
Yeah.
So that's what really happened to Jonah Hex.
Yeah, there you go. It was just a finger. He just got a finger.
Yeah.
But
he just got fingered by the Man-Thing.
I would buy that, except Jonah Hex ain't scared of shit. So I don't know if he would have been scared.
That's true.
The Jonah Hex scares Chuck Norris. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, that's right.
But it's the signature move, the burning face palm.
Yep.
Badass, and it's kind of funny. Man-Thing does that all the time. What we talked about with Jonah Hex, it was hard to pin down a badass moment because every issue was a badass moment.
Every issue was a badass moment.
Every issue was a badass moment.
Snoopy's he reacted to my joke when I said he got fingered by the Man-Thing.
There you go. My number 1 badass moment, Man-Thing, and I know Brandon will know this. He took out the Hulk. He took out the Hulk in Hulk 197.
I haven't read that one yet.
By grabbing the Hulk and putting his face into his mossy body and suffocating him out to unconsciousness. So he grabbed the Hulk, pulls him in, and says, "Take that, big boy," until the Hulk goes limp. So
Take a nap, buddy. Take a nap.
yeah, took a nap, took out the Hulk. Now that's some badassery right there.
Well done.
Right, the vegetable
done.
platter took out the Hulk. So there you go. For me, that's my number one badass moment. You take out the Hulk, bang. You know,
He was,
gold medal.
Yeah,
suffocated
definitely.
by the. He was suffocated by
Suffocated
the
by-
man thing, and it's still
By the
made it
man
past
thing.
the Comics Code Authority.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
right.
it is. So for you guys covered my badass moments except for one.
Damn.
And I know I did. Oh, I saw the Snoop.
Bad.
Okay, let's put this up here first. Hold on a second.
I just read that too and laughed.
That is awesome.
Well
That is
done.
awesome. Well done.
Snoopy.
Well done.
played.
Bravo. That's
Bravo.
all.
And Doug
Very
said Hulk 197 is a great book, but
Yeah.
you know,
180,
what,
Hulk 180
you know what the first appearance of Hulk 197 was?
was Hulk 180.
Hulk 180.
Hulk
That's
180.
right.
That man,
is right.
that damn joke even crossed over onto the Grumpy Old Nerd Show. So
I
that's
love
what
that.
got
That was
tragic.
great.
It jumped. It jumped. It jumped channels.
Yes, it did.
I've now
All right,
been
so-
I've now been able to witness that joke go off twice on live streams. I'm
You're gonna
honored.
see, you're gonna see that joke off a lot.
Yeah.
You're gonna see some other jokes too. You know, with some unbroken run jokes as well.
Unbroken Run, some Beast is an Avenger.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so let's
His
let me get through
inside
my badass moments here. Yeah. Let me get through my quick badass moments because you guys all got them covered. One was that signature move. I think Brandon, you have that as your opener on your videos. At the last
When he
second, you can
comes
see the
on,
man
yeah.
thing. You know, you can see
From the
Ted,
Disney Plus special day.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
you know, smacking his hand and giving the that's anytime he does that, that's a badass moment for me. And I had the biker gang, which was my number one, where he just rips the chain out of him. And the last one I got was also pretty cool. He has like ooze power. He's been trapped by a net, and he just kind of
Oozes
oozes
through it.
right
Yeah,
out of the net.
conquistadors. Yeah, the immortal conquistadors that found the fountain of youth, and he was just like, whatever.
Exactly. It's like, you got what? A net? That's nothing. And he just oozes right through it. And I think if I remember reading it right, it was like, that's how they really described it, that he just oozed out of the net. You know, not like he got out of it or he just, shook it off. No, he oozed out
I
of
love
the
that
net,
he
you
let
know?
him drag. I love that he let him drag him back to like almost their house before he did it, though.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
know.
whatever.
It's like, well, thank you. TJ says Hulk 180 will never die, and that is
No.
actually very correct.
You know why it'll never die? Because it has a healing factor.
That's right. That's right. All right. So that is our badass moments. We're going to move on now to critiques and what we don't like about this character. And Brandon, like I said before, because you're our special guest star tonight, you may go first.
Because he's so entwined with the swamp, right? Like, his serum in the swamp. I wish he would have got the ability to communicate with critters of the swamp. Like, I wish that would have been his only way to communicate, because I thought it would have been so cool. Like, he's always fighting alligators and snakes and shit. I thought it would have been so cool if that was my one S-bomb for the show, by the way. I thought it would have been so cool.
Oh, you can say it.
If
You can have two.
say there was a scenario where there was like good people that had fallen into the water, right? And alligators are going towards him like he's going to eat him, and the man thing could just show up and put his hand up, and the alligators could stop mid-swim and then back off, and then that would then tell the people on the ground, oh, he's controlling them and he just saved us. So like not using his brute force, but being able to communicate with snakes, alligators, anything that lived in the swamp, swarms of bugs. I thought that they missed the mark there. I thought they had a real chance to say, at least let us convey a message through animals for him that a human could understand, more than him just being like, you pissed me off,
Yeah.
or I don't care, I'm going to walk away. So that's what I wish they would have that doesn't work for me, that he's fighting stuff in the swamp.
Oh, he's got some real anger issues with the gators. He's always messing up a gator.
He's breaking them against
Always.
trees. One goes into him, and then like just by byproduct, the gator gets scared, so it just starts to burn. And
Burn,
he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, sorry."
It's
Like,
anybody up for some roasted gator?
I've never been about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
what's that?
I was just quoting the other guys when
Oh yeah,
Wolfo was like, Gator ain't never been about that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's what didn't. I wish they would have just done that.
Yeah, good stuff.
would've
But
been
that's a small.
No, that's okay. That's sometimes we don't have much to even say. I think for Jonah Hex, we all didn't have anything
You're
that we
like,
could really
he's
say bad.
perfect.
It was like, well, there's nothing wrong we can critique on them. But Dan, go ahead. Give us your critique on Man-Thing.
There's a couple that are kind of minor ones. I noticed, reading, when I was reading for this, because I knew who Man-Thing was. I read some stuff over the years, but I, was not an expert in it. So I was having to go back. I was trying to go in and read a lot of different stuff, like from his own comics to other books that he was in, to the original magazine stuff. It seemed like there's some kind of inconsistencies depending on who the writer is, which I guess is, could be a common critique of many characters. But there was a little kind of inconsistency. Like I said, the R.L. Stine one, he's just flat out like, oh, I'm going to be in a movie about myself and I'm going to just talk and all this. So like, no. And like I said, he does seem to, because he is, this not really a mindless beast, but almost like he does end up becoming a background character almost in a lot of his stories where some, like you're reading it and you're like 5, 6, 7, 8 pages in. You're like, well, where's Man-Thing? Like, who are these people? What's going on? And, it always is, he's completely reactionary to everything all the time. And then one thing that was just kind of nitpicky too, like I said, I was trying to read a lot over the different stuff, is they seem to retell his origin a lot. Like,
Yeah,
like every other thing I was reading, it's like, oh, and here's a retelling of his origin. Like, oh, here's a retelling of his origin. Like, okay, I get it. He's not Spider-Man where everybody knows what his origin is, but like, do you really need to retell it every time? Like, and all these different artists doing him, like, you're not going to do it as good as Gray Morrow did. Like, if you're going to retell his origin, just reprint those pages at the beginning of the book and then get into your story.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, Gary, what do you got?
All right. Well, I think that with where I lose it is when it's a buddy book with Howard the Stupid Duck.
Oh,
that's
God.
my favorite character.
No, it's not. I hate Howard the Duck.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Howard the Duck. I mean, I really needed Howard the Duck to get a facial on that. I just, and listen, I appreciate what Gerber had brought to that character, brought to Man-Thing, but I never enjoyed Howard the Duck. So to see Howard the Duck alongside a character that's just so tonally different, it just never works for me. So when he's hanging out with Howard the Duck, I'm just like, oh God, what the hell is this? So
Yeah.
Brandon, where are you on that?
I feel the same way. You know what? My affinity for Howard the Duck lies in the cheesy '80s movie because he got to hang out with Leah Thompson.
I'll give you that.
That's where my love falls for him, because I felt the same way. It's like,
and that is the first Marvel movie.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, he was.
The rest of it just doesn't work that well for me either. I respect it, like that he can pull, characters from other dimensions. Sure. We had to go with a duck, like it seems like such a Disney ripoff of
what's funny
Donald.
is remember that Howard the Duck, God, what was it, like 20 years ago? Maybe no longer than 20 years ago. Maybe like 25, 30 years ago, where Disney sued Marvel over, or was going to threaten it over Howard the Duck because they say it infringed on him, and then they they did the whole thing where Howard like changed into a mouse and was like making fun of it, and with like Mickey and all those jokes about that, and now they own Howard.
That's so funny, ironic.
Like Howard in the in like the little bits that he showed up in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Being in the Collectors.
Right. Well,
he's just kind of there for like one scene and then that's it.
And like some of the people that are chiming in, I agree. Howard on his own in his own series is to me much better than him hanging out with Man-Thing. That's where I have the problem. That those two, that's not a buddy. That's not a buddy thing going on there.
It's not like Man-Thing and Werewolf by Night. That's a buddy thing.
Right.
That works.
Ted and Jack go together. Howard the Duck,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. All right. I agree with that. I went with.
Wouldn't mind giving Leah Thompson back then the Man Thing.
Oh,
Listen. If you want to, if you're on a Leah Thompson kick, if you've seen all the right moves, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was that joke
Mhm.
Dennis Leary made when he's like, everybody's wondering why people are watching Caroline in the City? I'll tell you why they're watching it.
So I kind of agree with Brandon. I think the missed an opportunity to actually communicate with the creatures of the swamp, or
Like that, yeah.
at least control them and use them to communicate a little bit more, because it was kind of hard to read, I think, with just trying to read off his emotions a lot of times. So I kind of got like, he almost, like Dan said, he becomes a supporting character to the story that's going on, and he's very reactionary and not taking action type of thing. So that's what I didn't like about it so much. But as soon as I got to the Howard the Duck parts, I just went, nope, not reading this one. We're skipping this. We're just skipping this one. Forget that duck. So anyhow, all right. So that's what I have for my critiques on him. I know. You don't like Howard the Duck either. So
it would be good if but almost if they had like a because I know there's characters like Jennifer Kale and some of them that kind of reoccur in there with them. But if they had someone that had enough of a bond that was almost like a communicator for him, that he can't talk to him or anything, but they've been around him enough where there's some type of empathic connection that they can almost kind of translate for him.
Yeah,
that's why Disney worked. That's why it worked. Jack did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so going
exactly
on to
like they did in Werewolf.
I'll put my money that we're going to see a new version of that this Halloween. I'll put money down with you guys. I'll buy y'all a drink. I guarantee. I stamp it. Like they know.
I hope so. I keep seeing rumors about them doing Midnight Suns or more horror stuff. So that was so good.
That would be good. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to top covers. And this is 3 covers that we all have chosen that we think are just badass. And Brandon, you are going to go first. If I can find the top covers, here we go.
Just going to throw that on the screen.
Dan's. Yep, I'm going to throw them on the screen there. That's Gary's. That's mine. It's hard to read. That's Dan's. There's Brandon's. Boom.
Yep. Great choices.
Nice. Yes.
I went with 11 because it's Neil Adams, and I love Neil Adams. And it just really embodies like the post pre-code horror, Bronze Age horror. You've got kids drawing a pentagram, which wouldn't have been allowed, with this big monster done really well by Neil Adams. And then 197 I chose because Gary and I were talking. It's a Bernie Wrightson cover. It's a great battle cover. It's the one he talked about where he makes Hulk go to sleep. And Bernie Wrightson is the only artist to have worked on both Swamp Thing and Man Thing, in this era. I'm not sure if any modern people do, but I'm pretty sure that's the only one. And then number 1, Frank Bruner, in my heart, is like my favorite. I mean, I think he really uses those eyes. And I mean, he makes them. If you look at the difference between Neil Adams, where he's kind of still more chunky, and how Bruner made him look physically built with those huge muscles and stuff, but it's not too much because he's a big thing anyways. And the beautiful flowers, and he made the swamp look gorgeous too around him. So that's why I chose them.
Nice.
I love them. Great choices. Yeah. And you are absolutely right. Those are wonderful choices, and they were all on my top list. Those were all.
It was very hard, guys. It was very hard.
We're going to see some repeats for sure. I'm positive of that.
The Man Thing was really hard.
Yes, it was. It was very hard, and the more you handled those books, the harder it got.
No, Pam. No, Pam. I did not pick Astonishing Tales 13, the Rich Buckler chunky Man Thing.
All right, Dan, let's go ahead and jump over to yours. There we go.
I love it.
We're already seeing some similarities. So they said, Adventures into Fear, number 11. Like, that's just such a great cover. Like you said, the kids that's also the first appearance of Jennifer Kale too.
Yes, and Nexus to Realities, yeah,
and that was a pretty cool story too. How they with the movie theater and all that. But just where it's almost like the pentagram is it's glowing and from the light, and then you see that reflected on him like he's coming out of the swamp on.
Yes,
very, very much like a classic gives it the sense of a classic monster movie poster.
Yes.
Like you said with the Man-Thing issue 1 cover, like that's such a fantastic cover that really jumps off of the the way that it's framed, where he's right in the middle of it and he's kind of coming out of the swamp and he's monstrous looking and it looks like he's kind of dripping too, and just like it's something that that just really jumps out at you.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And then giant size Man-Thing number 4. Like I love the art on that where the background is all black. And
he said giant size Man-Thing.
he said giant size.
But you just see him with the with nothing in the back, and he's holding the hand, and the hand's burning, and then the burning from the hand is what illuminates his face, and just and like you said, it's another Frank Bruner cover, and this
he
one,
nails the eyes. Look at those eyes.
Yeah,
yes,
both of them.
It's
very true.
Absolutely gorgeous, and if I had to pick one, out of all of them, it would be the giant size Man-Thing number 4, because having the background all black like that really makes the rest of it stand out.
Dan, true. I almost picked that one. It was 197, edged it out because I wanted to pay homage to the history, but I almost picked that one.
Oh, yeah.
That beautiful copy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, he's holding this giant size Man-Thing.
Dude,
he's holding it.
Prices are so down. I think this was like $55 shipped on eBay.
No way.
Nice.
It was like,
man,
it's a great market. It's a great time to buy comics right now, fellas.
It is.
So you're saying that your giant size Man-Thing is very affordable on eBay?
Well, listen, here's the other thing.
Jeez.
He's also using protection for his giant size Man-Thing, so that's really good.
That's encased.
Sometimes I go raw. I got a raw giant size
Man-Thing. It goes raw.
That's right.
So TJ's got one question here before we jump to Gary. Before we jump to your covers, TJ's got a question here. Maybe our Man-Thing experts can answer this one. What is the floppy appendages on his face?
Nothing in the earlier books. Everything I've read on through doesn't really. Did you guys ever see an explanation for them? I just think I think the silhouette of the creature. It's a cool silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't find at least in the first Fear through volumes 1 and 2 doesn't explain if they do anything.
Well, Hulk calls him Carrot Nose.
Hulk does call him Carrot Nose. Yeah,
that's
Hulk
true.
I think it was probably just them designing it, and they're saying like, make him look as monstrous and inhuman as possible. And he's got the eyes, but other than the eyes, that's kind of it. Whereas, again, to go back to Swamp Thing, like Swamp Thing has the eyes, he kind of has a nose, he's got a mouth, that's and Man-Thing is just
tentacle appendages were big at that point.
There you go.
Too,
it was all the rage.
Yeah.
That's right. And another cover I want to point out to you guys that was like a prototype for this too is Phantom Stranger number 14. It's a Neil Adams cover. It's a swamp cover. There you go. You got it on the wall.
Do you got it? He's got it. He's got it.
Yeah. I own that issue too, but I didn't have it out. But it's another, So you look at that swamp. That's another, again, all of these sprang forth from the heap's mossy goodness.
Heck yeah. And you'll hear people reference that and be like, oh, Phantom Stranger, Man-Thing, or Swamp Thing. I've heard people say that. I'm like, no, he was not the same.
No. But a great swamp monster nonetheless.
Great. I mean, he does resemble Man-Thing of any of them, but he has kind of the mouth of Al Collin too, though. Isn't that
he does.
Yeah.
All right, Gary, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say he's got the brow and the eyes kind of remind me of Man-Thing in that too.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, they do have that, and then it turns into Swamp Thing down here.
Right.
The mouth on that. This is kind of, if anybody ever grew up watching the G.I. Joe cartoon like I did, there was the. Okay, so do you remember the very beginning of it when they had the mask device, and they had to go around and collect all of the different elements for it, and there was the one element that was the hard water they had to go deep in the ocean to get, and there were those tube snakes or like the tube monsters that were coming out.
Did you say tube snakes?
Exactly like that.
This episode's getting crazy. Yeah, it does. You're right. You're absolutely right.
All right, Gary, ready to see your top covers?
I am.
Show us the Man-Things.
We were going to show
There
you.
we
some.
go.
things. There we
Wow.
go.
There we
Monsters
go.
Unleashed. Yeah, I have. Do I have that? I think so.
Yep. So the Monsters Unleashed was thrown in there because I messaged Dan to see which covers he was going to do, and I knew that there was going to be a lot of duplication in this because there's about 4 or 5 that are just freaking perfect, and I
Right.
didn't know if the Monsters Unleashed would be in there, so I dropped the Man Thing #1 Volume 1 by Frank Buhner because I knew Dan was going to have it. So that, that really made my top 3. But because I didn't want a duplication, I put it the Monsters Unleashed #5. Bob Larkin did that. I just think that's a cool classic horror cover.
that
You got the
cool.
moon. He's grabbing that gator, and he's
Always
got
a gator.
Yeah. Always, I know he's just got, he's got to be taking out some frustrations on some gator, and he's got that gal held up kind of in a kind of like Fay Ray. He's got her.
Yep.
Duke there.
And I like her outfit. I like the Daisy Dukes and the tied up shirt she's wearing. So, but that's
What is she doing in the swamp at that time of night? Come on.
Well,
You're looking for some Man Thing.
Yeah, there you go. She's looking for a giant-sized Man Thing.
That's
So-
right.
And she found one. But I just think that's a really great cover, and it's on a magazine. It's not, it's the magazine-sized books that Marvel was publishing at the time, so it's not a true comic. But I thought it was too good to not use. In the middle, my guy Brandon said it very eloquently. Hulk 197, Bernie Wrightson,
Yep.
Man Thing, and let's not forget how cool the Hulk is in that.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, that's a great
Yeah.
Hulk. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
know it's hard to see. The collector in the back looks pretty awesome too, and just a great battle. I mean, I love both hands around the Hulk's neck, and the Hulk is punching through him. If you're
Yeah.
paying attention, he has punched a hole in the Man Thing there. So that is pretty awesome too. And then I think, as Dan said, Giant Size Man Thing #4 may be the Man Thing cover. I mean, that is just up close, personal. It's all about the eyes, and he's doing that signature move. He's burning that flesh, So I just think that is just such a great, striking image of the up close face of him. So those are, and that's by Frank Buhner. Let's give Frank Buhner some love on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But those are my 3.
All right. Let's go ahead and then jump to my top 3 covers here. And there we go. Look at that.
Yep.
Check this out. I did the
We
Adventures
got a
of
couple
Fear
of
number
new
11.
ones in there. Nice.
Yep. Adventures of Fear with the Man Thing #11. Classic cover for me with the kids playing with the pentagram, whatever.
Yep.
Neil Adams. Yep.
And then we got Man Thing #7 here. Monster Stalks the Swamp. You got the guy that's shooting the shotgun or machine gun, whatever he's got here. It's just go right through him. Doesn't even phase him. And he's there, going after him. He's like, what is he saying? Good Lord. He just keeps on coming. Shots go right through him. It keeps on coming. Yeah,
The Giant
that
Size
is
Man
true.
Thing just keeps on coming.
That's right. It does. That's right. It does. So wait, I think I wrote down who actually did the art for that one. #7. Yeah, that's Mike Plug art.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And the of course, Man Thing #1, #4, on the far right here. This is a I can't pronounce his name. Val Merrick,
America, I think.
Merrick. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a great cover for me because it looks like you got the headlights in the Jeep, just shining just on the bottom half of him, and he's like popping out of the swamp. The guys are freaking out. It looks like he's almost crashed into him or about to crash into him.
That's like the most real life scenario of if you saw a swamp monster, right? You're
Yes.
driving a car, it comes out of the swamp, you're
Yep.
terrified.
And you're gonna start burning, because you're in fear right there.
That's right.
So I love that color. I love the it's almost like a sunset background. It looks like to me. That's just kind of
Yep.
That's how I
it
took
makes
it.
it pop for me. Yeah, makes it look like it's popping for me on that, and I love that.
Great
Oh,
choice.
great covers.
Well, like you
Thanks.
said, that's the most realistic reaction to it. His whole deal is like, whoever knows fear burns at the touch of him. Who's not going to know fear looking at that?
I know.
Only
Who's
other
over-
superheroes like Daredevil or
Green
Spider-Man.
Lantern, Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hal
I'll
Jordan.
be like,
yeah.
whatever. You're trying to scare me? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, one cover that was really tough for me to leave off was pretty sure it was a Buhner cover. It was one of the Fear covers, and it was the one with the bulldozers.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yes, it's like Fear. Fear
14?
17.
Yeah,
17 or 16.
Yeah,
But it's right before Howard the Duck.
And it kind of reminds you of the cover with the Jeep, because the bulldozers are at a stop and the Man-Thing is in the pathway, and they're getting the hell out of the bulldozers.
They're jumping off. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple dudes in hard hats are like getting the hell out of there.
Hey, Doug, who's in the chat, I want to show you guys this real quick. He sent me some stuff. I have a video coming out pretty soon about it, but this was appropriate. Doug Bakken sent me this.
Nice.
The Scientist of His Heart. So this is the
Clown.
The Night of the Laughing Dead, part 1 of that. So it's volume 1, issue 6, and it's the record read along. So this is a Plug cover, and I also said, like we were talking about why we liked him. He's an empath, so like he's carrying that clown. Something horrible happened to him. The splash page on this is like, if we had picked a favorite splash page, maybe that'd be something fun to do.
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
Him coming out of the water like that, like in those
that's
panels.
great.
Plug did it great too. I love Mike Plug drawing Man-Thing and Werewolf and all the horror stuff he did. But had to shout out Doug Bakken. Thanks, man. This was really kind. This is awesome. I gotta get a record player now, so I want to listen to this. I gotta hear this.
Absolutely
nice. All right, Doug. Your mission now is to get us all that book and record too. All right.
It's cool when they used to do those, like, the book with the record, and then later on it was like the tape with the record. Like,
I had all that shit.
I think all of us are of the age that we had, I had, when I was real little, I had a couple of the record ones. When I got a little bit older, I had the ones where it would be, especially DC would have like the hardback books, and then it would have the tape that would have the little plastic pouch on the back.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars was something similar to that.
Yeah. I had a Batman one. I remember I had,
I had a Batman and a Spider-Man one. Book and record.
This one, which I absolutely love, this Justice League one. Which
I
don't have the tape anymore, but anyone who sees it, would have this pouch on the back of it. That's it's so old that it's like all.
Isn't that wild, guys?
But
that was how we consumed media.
Yeah, it would have a little
back in the day.
It would go
only 30 years ago. It's not that crazy long between.
Then,
listen. Okay, I'll really age myself here. The first time I heard Richard Pryor was on an 8-track tape.
Oh, there you go.
And you've seen even more, Gary. That's my point. Is like, look how quickly we, But I love those. You're right, Dan. Yep. I had He-Man ones. I had Sectars from the 80s. Like I would play with the toys and listen to that. But yeah, so just wanted to shout Doug out. Thanks, Doug.
All right, yeah, good job.
Nice job. Well done, Doug.
Well done, Doug. All right, so before we jump into the next segment, which is going to be our essential readings, head on over to the Codex Station and check it out. Because, Gary, what do we got and what do we want to give?
Especially talking about this episode with all the giant-sized Man-Things. Here at the Codex Station, we have all the socials, and we would like nothing better than to give them to you.
Nice. Once again, folks, head over to thecodexstation.com, get some merch, meet the team, and there's so much more on that website. I know because I created it, and it is awesome. So go over there and check it out.
With all this social stuff we're giving, we ought to get some kind of kickback and have a penicillin manufacturer as a sponsor.
We probably should.
Yeah, the website is full of giant-sized Man-Things.
Yes, it is.
It is.
I give you guys so much credit for what you do, because I may do this alone, but sometimes that's easier than communicating how you guys do with your whole team to create this channel. And I give you all the respect. Like that is
thank you.
Because I control how I do my things, but you guys are always having to coordinate. So if communication isn't there, if you guys aren't good friends, it doesn't work.
TJ said is Swamp Fever one of the socials you have?
Swamp Fever.
You're goddamn right it is, TJ.
It is. And there's support. All right, let's jump into essential readings. And Brandon,
thank you for that, Brandon. Thank you, brother.
Got you first. That's your covers. Oh my goodness, I am terrible at this tonight because I cannot read the screen.
Listen, you're easily distracted tonight with all this.
With all the giant-sized Man-Things going on.
Yes.
I know.
So Savage Tales 1 had to go origin. Had to go origin story. We've talked about that. I think in the pre-show about how Gray Morrow's black and white. He's fighting alligators right off the bat, and that trope continues. And between the drawing of the people, the Man-Thing, and the story, it just works for me. Astonishing Tales 12 I chose because that's his first comic appearance. He's not on the cover, but he, it continues. Savage Tales was canceled. Stan Lee wanted it. The editor at the time, I'm not sure who the editor at Marvel was at the time, didn't believe in it, and it did not do well, so they stopped it for a while. Savage Tales did start back up eventually, but Man-Thing moved over to Astonishing Tales 12 via people that worked in his lab, hired Scott Kazar to come search for him. To go find him, and at that point it's retconned about AIM and the advanced idea mechanics being the sinister, nefarious group that wanted the serum. So that really kicks off his plunge into comics right there. So that's a really good, like, if you can read Savage Tales 1 and then go into Astonishing Tales, it flows well. And then Man-Thing Volume 2, Issue 11 is the final. There's Volume 1 and there's Volume 1 is 22 issues. Volume 2 is 11 issues. And in that issue, you had Chris Claremont writing that issue and wrote himself into the story.
Nice.
The staffers on that issue were Jim Shooter, Louise Jones, who's Louise Jones, Uncle Gary?
Louise Jones was married to Jeffrey Jones when she made a very famous, right now she's Louise Simonson.
Exactly.
Back then she made a very famous appearance as the model for the beautiful gal on the cover of House of Secrets '92, which was the first Swamp Thing appearance.
Yep. And Danny Fingeroth, they were trying to track down the Man-Thing writer, Chris Claremont, and they found him in a New York bar. Where he tells them that he intends to quit working on the Man-Thing book and explains why, that he had to go to like Doctor Strange Sanctum Sanctorum, and shenanigans ensue because of comics. And at the end of the episode, or the end of the tale, Man-Thing, how did it work? Strange reverses a spell that changes Claremont back to normal because Claremont turns into the Man-Thing and Man-Thing turns into Ted Salas momentarily. And finishing the story, Jim Shooter agrees with Claremont, and they leave the bar, and the bartender is revealed to be Dakeem, who is the enchanter from the Nexus of Realities, who has been directing Claremont's writing as he did Steve Gerber's in the past. So I thought, I'm a big Claremont is obviously an icon in the comic world. And I had to recognize, Gerber wrote himself into the end of the first series saying he was just reporting on real incidences and couldn't do it anymore. So thought that was cool that, Claremont of X-Men fame also touched the Man-Thing.
I see what you did there.
There you go.
They just don't stop tonight, folks. It's just ongoing. So that's why I picked those three.
Nice choices. Nice choices.
Thank you.
Okay, Dan, you are up next. And boom, look at that. There you go.
I like it, Dan. I like it.
All right, so yeah, I mean, he already talked about Astonishing Tales 12. I had 12 and 13 because 13 is kind of the second part of that. Now, 12, what was interesting is because the middle part of it, where with the Man-Thing, was, like you said, was originally written to be, in a different book, and it got, was a Savage Tales, and it got canceled. And they just didn't have anything to do with it for a while until they used it for this. So it's like this interlude that in issue 12 that like doesn't really fit with the rest of the book, but it just, it looks, the art, especially the art in, just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yes. It was amazing.
100%. Yeah, it is.
I got Adventures into Fear number 10. I already kind of covered that on the badass moments. Like I said, the story starts with the father, like, throwing the infant off the bridge, Man-Thing just being there and kind of catching it. Like I said, they don't really explain how he knows where, to take the kid to the grandparents, and they, don't explain how he knows to find the guy, but it was still great to see that guy get his comeuppance. And then, then like Brandon just, mentioned with Claremont writing himself in, and then mentioned Steve Gerber. That's, this one too, Man-Thing Volume 1, Issue 22. It was the last issue of the series, and Steve Gerber wrote himself into the book, and the Steve Gerber stuff is it's just so weird. Like there's no other crazy. It's like Steve Gerber is just wrote some weird, bizarre, crazy stuff, and this issue I put in there because you can read this issue and it kind of covers the whole series that he wrote. He's like, oh, like you said, this wizard shows up and Gerber's writing a letter to Marvel saying that he's going to quit the book because he fears for his life, and how the it wasn't just a comic he was writing, it was real stories. And then he talks about how this wizard showed up and would tell him the stories, and then he would write them for the comic. And like his wizard's telling him about this, and he's going basically goes through like all the stories that he from Man-Thing's past and that he wrote in the book there, and then this kind of adventure that they go on where he gets sucked in to this adventure and all this, and it's really weird. And I just had to put it in like that because it does cover in this one issue a lot of the history of Man-Thing, and because Steve Gerber wrote I don't know if he wrote more issues of Man-Thing than anyone else, but if he didn't, he's right up there with him because he wrote the character for a long time.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he leads.
Yep. I think he did, but I wasn't exactly sure. But so I had to throw that one in there for that.
Nice. Good stuff. All right, Uncle Gary, you
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Before I was going to say Richard Rory was the guy that we were thinking of.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Richard Rory is the disc jockey that that goes against that gang, and we forgot to mention that he lives in he's this closest town Man-Thing is to Citrusville, Florida. A lot of stuff takes place in Citrusville.
Absolutely,
it's happening spot.
Yeah.
All right, Uncle Gary, here comes your essential readings.
All right. I also am going with Savage Tales #1 because that's the first one, and it is beautifully told and beautifully rendered by Gray Morrow. I mean, that is just an amazing origin tale, and it is fantastic.
Hear, hear.
And the follow-up to that was actually, in Monsters Unleashed 5, where you get a follow-up with what happened with Ellen that had her face burned. And that is also, that was written by Tony Isabella, who's famous for creating Black Lightning. Tony Isabella and Vincente Alcazar was the artist, and it was also in gorgeous black and white. And that is just a great story too, dealing with Ellen dealing with her own guilt of what she's done, and trying to have a redemptive moment with that. So I thought that was a great coda to Savage Tales 1, with the follow up, because she did him dirty. She sure as hell did him dirty. That's for sure. And then I also, like Dan, picked Man-Thing Volume 1, number 22, where Gerber inserted himself in the story, and it was just it was bizarre, it was crazy, but it was it was inventive, and I like where they put themselves in the stories, and I liked what he did. And Gerber, quite an eclectic guy to write Man-Thing like he did and still write something as insane as Howard the Duck. So quite a dichotomy between the two. But I really grabbed it with Man-Thing, the books that I grabbed. And there was a Neil Adams black and white that they did with the when they did in the Kazar book, the first Kazar, when they kind of added that was like a black and white or sepia tone.
Okay.
Neil Adams. Those are the ones that I enjoy the most are those. And of course, maybe it's because they were in the more adult magazines too. But those were the stories that I really liked the most, and the look of it and the feel of it and the black and white. I just loved those. And those were the Man-Thing stories that I appreciated the most.
Amen.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and check out my recommended readings. There I am, and boom. So I went with Man-Thing Volume 3, 1 through 8. This is almost like a retell of his origin story, but it focuses a little bit more on Ellen in this story, I believe. And it was written by DeMatteis and drawn by Liam Sharp. So I did like this one. I like the retelling of it, and it's pretty much basically just like the original story. I also went for Astonishing Tales 12 and 13 like Dan because, yeah, there's, you guys hit the nail on the head with this one. So there's no need for me to really pull any points in. You got Khazar in there and everything, and it's amazing. It's a good
And
read.
Zabu.
Zabu. Love me some Zabu.
Yep. And you definitely gotta check this one out. So my last one I have is Man-Thing Volume 1, Number 7. This is the one where a big real estate developer wants to drain the swamp. It's it's F.A. Schist, he wants to do it, but he actually gets turned into a monster in this one, and he is so after he's monsterfied, he's flipping out, he's freaking out, and this makes him burn and die in this story. So
the shit hit the fan, huh?
Yeah, the Schist hit the fan there on that one. So definitely check out this one. All right,
good job.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to say, like Dan, Man-Thing was never my go-to reads. I only knew what I read when I tried to read as much as I could of this. But, it's just like Jonah Hex. It makes me want to read more. I need to read and check out these other stories that you guys have read because, damn, this has been pretty awesome with this. So
I wanted to add, I didn't pick one story because
throw it in now.
Adventure into Fear 17.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. It's Wandar, first appearance of Wandar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Straight ripoff of Superman origin story for him. His planet is about to explode. His parents know it. They kill his parents. He's in a spaceship. He goes to Earth. He lands. He becomes just this crazy powerful being. It's just a complete Superman ripoff. And
wow,
Gerber, seriously?
There's a lot of that going back and forth with the companies. And I just for a second, I want to get into the Man-Thing Swamp Thing with the timeline. Man-Thing and Savage Tales and House of Secrets 92, they were just a couple months apart. And I really don't believe they cribbed off one another. I believe this was just a coincidence that happened on these. And if you look at those origins, they're really pretty different. The Savage Tales Man-Thing, it's a scientific thing with the formula, with the spies, the evil scientists trying to get the formula. He is betrayed by a woman. He's betrayed by Ellen, but there's that modern science feel. The House of Secrets 92, it was a Victorian era story, and it was scientists again, but the formula, the chemicals they were working on doused me around the swamp, and Alex Holland comes back. Alex Olson comes back. And his partner did him in, and he's married, his woman, the lady he was engaged to, and it's just that tragic love story. And he is going to hurt her, and his friend is going to hurt the woman, and he saves her by killing the guy, and then he shambles off into the swamp again, and he's wearing the bracelet that she gave him in life, and it's just this tragic. It's only a little 8-page story. But it was perfect. It was just a perfect story. And it was so successful. And of course, that cover that we referenced that Louise Jones, but now Simonson, was on. And I talked to her about that. And she's kind of shy about it. But how cool is that, right? To be on this. And all the guys that lived there, Kaluta, Wrightson, Jeff Jones, her husband, they all lived in that building. And they were all in love with her. And she was like the den mother of everybody. And they just loved her to death. But
she is nice. I met her and talked to her. She is really nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely she is. So, but that story was just so perfect. It was so successful that DC went after Len Wein and Bernie to do a series, and they didn't want to do it. And so finally, I think they were sitting in the car one day, and they're like, all right, let's just figure this out. And they do it. Now this, I do believe, was a crib. When the Swamp Thing book came out, and I guess it was 72, the origin was very close to the Swamp Thing origin. I mean, the Man-Thing origin. It was science. It was a scientist, Alec Holland. He was creating instead of a super soldier serum, he was creating a biorestorative plant serum, which made sense in those times because one of the biggest things happening in that time was famine was really overtaking the world, and it was about increasing yields of grain and fruit by getting larger plants and things like that. So this formula was to create greater food stuff for the starving people in the world. But the bad scientists want to get a hold of it, and ended up he had a good woman in his corner. His wife Linda was killed, and ended up by the bad guys. But Alec was caught in the explosion and jumps in the water and becomes. And there's also a scene in Savage Tales 1 where Man-Thing stops a car, cars coming out and stops them. That happens in Swamp Thing 1 too, where there's a great big one-page panel where he's just slamming his fist into the car that the enemy agents are in, and they're catapulting through the windshield. So that is almost the direct, crib from that. So from the Savage Tales 1 to the Swamp Thing 1, there are a lot of correlations there, and I'm sure they borrowed from that. But the House of Secrets 92 story, I don't believe there was any borrowing from that. I think they're just so different. But there's no denying that the Alec Holland and the in the original Man-Thing, there's a lot of similarities. But the difference is, of course, Holland knows exactly what he is that makes him, to me, the tragic hero, kind of like Ben Grimm is, right? That he's the tragic hero trapped. Right. And to me, I gravitate more toward that. But I completely understand, Brandon, why you gravitate more toward Ted Salas, who can't even remember exactly what he was, and is just guided by his feelings and the emotions that he picks up on. So, but anyway, I just thought it was good to talk about the these timelines a little bit.
And they're both coming out of the heap anyways,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Absolutely.
Any of those guys that could have, for all we know, both those creative teams could have been sitting together and said, man, the Heap was a good character. Let's do something
Airboy,
like
you read those Airboy books?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Well, what's funny too is Jerry Conway was roommates with Len Wein.
With Len Wein,
talking to him, being like, "Look, man, you got when they were doing Swamp Thing, and they were like, you got to change before it came out. Like, you got to change the origin of this. It's too similar." He's like, but him and Wrightson were like, "Nah, it's different enough. It's not going to be an issue." And and they just did it. And Marvel, I guess, had considered suing him, but then
they consider, but they never followed through.
Ultimately decided like, we're just let them do it. We're not going to do it. There's another one that almost made my list on here, but it for a couple reasons it didn't. It was a mini series called Infernal Man-Thing.
Yep,
and ultimately, it was the last that Steve Gerber wrote for it. It was a callback. I can't remember which issue it was from Man-Thing that it called back to, where it was like a standalone story with this character, and it brings him back in it and this. But it was a good read. But the one thing that really I didn't like about it was I didn't like the artwork, especially how the artist drew Man-Thing compared to all these other ones.
Yeah. Is that the series where Gerber died before it was completed?
That might be.
Yeah, I think
there's a series. There's a series.
You're absolutely right, Gary.
Where the artist dragged on for so long that the final issues didn't see print until after Gerber had passed away.
I think you're right.
That's this one, because it was the last thing that he wrote. It was Kevin Nolan that did the art, and I just really didn't dig the art. I didn't like the
some
way
guys don't do it well, like Rich Buckler on the Tales 12. Or 13. I just don't think it's good.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, speaking of artist and author, let's go ahead and move to our next segment. But boom, check out that segue. It's our best author and artist, and these are two guys that are two people that don't necessarily have worked on the same book, but they could have been. But these are just two of the best ones when you think of this character. Boom, these are the guys that pop in your head. So, Brandon, what do you have for best artist and author?
Gerber Bruner.
And
Bruner. I do like, Gerber is weird and eclectic, and how he writes is very weird, but I think it made it all work. I agree. I love how he uses the words he uses are beautiful and very reminiscent of the time in certain aspects, which I love these as pieces of history. And, there's cultural things that are just, like he references everything. And, some of it's PC, not PC, and it's a sign of the time. And I love those two. And Bruner, those eyes, like I said, he conveys more emotion out of Man-Thing's eyes than anyone else did, I felt.
I agree.
Very good. I agree with that. That's good stuff. Dan, what do you got?
Yeah, I had Steve Gerber too. Like I said, don't read it. Don't read the stuff if you're not interested in seeing some weird shit, because it's some weird shit. Like there's no way around it. But there's a reason he wrote the character more than anyone else did. I mean, Roy Thomas wrote some stuff. There's a lot of guys that wrote some good stuff, but I just had to pick Gerber just because of the bulk of it, because no one else wrote as much as he did. Now he's not around anymore, and the character still is. So at some point, someone will overtake him for that.
Yep,
Not
for
yet.
sure.
Yeah.
And then for artists, it was tough because there were some really good ones. Like Neil Adams drew them, but Neil Adams didn't draw it a lot. Like I said, that one Marvel Knights Millennial Visions, like even though it was essentially just a one splash page or like a pinup, the way Jim Calafiore drew it was just like, you look at that and you're like, man, I wish you would have done at least like one full story, like just one issue, because it looked so great. But and Mike Plug was really good too, like I said earlier. But I also had to go with what Brandon said and go with Frank Bruner. Like, I mean, like you said, the eyes, especially that one Man Thing issue 4 cover, like it's so good, and the detail that he gets on them too just looks really good.
And the proportions of that cover look so good for being zoomed in.
Yeah,
It's so hard.
Yeah,
That's
he
good
makes
stuff.
he draws him where he looks completely monstrous, and where it does look like just a bunch of stuff just rose up from the swamp. But the way he does the eyes and can convey the emotion in that's what put it over the top for me.
Amen.
Okay. All right, Gary, what do you got?
All right, well, we're sounding like a broken record here. Yep. Without a
I thought you
doubt.
were gonna go with Wrightson just because of 197.
Actually, I'm not. Steve Gerber, for sure. His heart and soul was in that character, and so I've got to give him that. And he was just all over the place. And again, I think it takes a lot of talent to write a character who is, that he's not. Again, he's not the protagonist.
Yeah.
He's reactive to whatever else is going on. So, in a way, it was almost like an anthology book. It was about the supporting cat. Whoever he had running in and around that book, and the Man Thing wandered in through the book and did what he does. So there's a challenge to writing stories like that, and I thought he did a hell of a job. And for my artist, I'm also going to go with Frank Buhner. Those covers are amazing. The giant size 4 is amazing. Though I did give a strong consideration to Gray Morrow, because I really loved that work. And there was he did one of the Fear covers that was so great too, either 10 or 11. He did the cover of that was so great. And it was just that, that Savage Tales 1 is my favorite story. And it was neither written nor drawn by the two guys I'm picking as the best. But that was my favorite story, the Savage Tales 1. That's because that was more of a traditional monster story, I thought, than any of the others. But yeah, it's Buhner's cover work was just stellar. And again, it's the eyes. The only vestige you see of Ted is in those eyes. So
you're right, man. Savage Tales 1 could have been a standalone monster story, horror 70s monster, and it could have stopped. And you've been like, oh, that guy just was betrayed and turned into this thing and shambled off into the swamp, and we don't know what happened after that.
Right. Yeah. And it would have stood the time of greatness. It stood the test of time and been great. Kind of like that original Swamp Thing story was, that Bernie and Len didn't want to touch it again because it was perfect and it won awards and everything else. So, they could stand alone and be, just hailed as a great little short story.
All right, that's good stuff. So, not to be a broken record as well, but weird shit is fun. I have Gerber and Bruner as well.
Does this happen often for you guys on the character? Where you
No.
It happens sometimes where 2 or 3 of us will agree on an artist or agree on a writer, but I don't think it's ever happened where all 4 of us have agreed
I think it's a better chance it's a smaller volume of
Yeah.
read, you know.
Well,
Like,
that's true too. But yeah, I don't know that we've had a clean sweep before.
No, but I gotta give props to Mike Plug because I did like
Agreed.
his work, you know.
Too.
So,
Agreed.
but what you guys said about the emotions in the eyes, very true.
If
And
it
that's
was
what
Werewolf
kinda
by
tipped
the
the
Night, it
scales.
would be Plug. Yes.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Werewolf by Night. That was
Yeah.
Plug. Love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
but no,
So
you're-
Richard's
it's
got a
not.
questions for. Richard's got a question for us here.
Great question.
What do you guys think on this?
I think, and I know I've said him a lot, and he's not working in comics right now, and because of his accident, who knows if he ever will again. But I think Donnie Cates could do something really cool with a character like this. You look at some of the stuff that he's done stuff in a lot of different genres, and he's done some weird stuff himself that I think that he could come up with a pretty cool Man-Thing miniseries. For artists, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
I already got one picked out right now. Actually, I got two picked out for artists right now.
Yeah.
And
Well,
one's unfortunately not with us anymore. But I would love to see George Perez draw him.
Yeah.
But
That would have been cool.
Alex Ross,
Oh.
I think he would be phenomenal drawing Man-Thing.
Alex Ross works for models, so that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't mind seeing Gabriel Delato's take on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
he draws a dark.
Oh, yeah,
Because
version.
he drew the Predator so realistic in when he's holding he's got the Green Goblin on his knife gauntlets.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see that.
There were Sal. I forgot to talk to you about before Gabriel Delato did a. This was just released this week, and I got to figure out how to get it. A Swamp Thing or a House of Secrets '92.
The homage, yeah.
It is fantastic, but it didn't come to the shop, and there's exclusive sites or something. So I don't know how to get this thing.
Yeah.
Someone showed that on their channel. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
check it out.
amazing. It's amazing.
Doug Mank, I think would do a pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Man would do a great job.
And
on that.
Capullo would do. I think he would do a good job too.
Just thinking what Mankey did on Green Hell. Can you imagine?
Oh, I know. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I love that series.
Did you read Green Hell, Brandon?
I did not.
It was
Oh,
Black
you got
Label
to.
DC came out the past year.
Writing it down.
Premiere. Yeah, Green Hell. Oh, Nick Cardy. Now, Nick Cardy, oh, Pam, you're talking to. I love Nick Cardy. He drew Man-Thing once on the cover of the Marvel Premiere Legion of Monsters issue. That was the only DC or Marvel comic cover he did. He did a magazine cover, but he never did. Finch is a good idea. I like that too. I think for writing it, because of what he's doing on Hulk, Philip Kennedy Johnson, I bet could do a pretty awesome Man-Thing.
I got to read that Hulk series now.
Oh, you got to, Brandon. It's really good.
There's a transformation scene, Brandon. There's a transformation scene in one of the issues where the Hulk explodes out of Banner, and it is just
You see the face ripping
apart and everything, and
old school horror.
Sign me up.
Horror. It's like body horror, and at the end, the Hulk is standing over a pool of blood, and in the pool of blood is Banner's reflection.
Look at that. Sold.
and then you get
eBay.
to the Ghost Rider that's got a bazooka.
It's issue
that
number 6.
shoots Hellfire.
Is it issue number 6 as the transformation or 5? I think it's 6.
It's 5 or 6. It might be 6, but
I think it's.
yeah.
I think
Oh
it's
my
number 6.
god.
I would say for artists too, I think that Derek Robertson, who drew The Boys for a long time, I think he would probably do a pretty good Man-Thing.
I have an idea that Russ Braun could do a really
Russ
good
Braun,
job.
yeah, I was thinking
Russ Braun.
I think Russ Braun could do a really good job with it.
Yeah.
We'll show
That's
that
awesome.
later.
Well, let's go ahead and switch to that segment then.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this usually wraps up our comic character of the week, but we're gonna have bonus time here.
Bonus,
Ding, ding,
boner
ding.
time.
It's overtime, baby.
Boner time for
Brandon. No, Brandon and Gary both have extra stuff they want to show us tonight.
Yes, we do.
They want to show us extra Man-Things.
Dueling
Man things. So, Gary, you go first, and then Brandon will show some stuff. We'll just duel back and forth.
All right. Well, here we go. This I
Let's
picked
go
up.
ahead and make this
Yep.
bigger. Let's make this bigger. So
I got this
easier to see. There you
I got this at Baltimore a few years ago, and it's an inked drawing by Russ Braun, and it's to Gary, and it says the Battle of the Swamp, and this
Oh,
is just
nice.
a great Swamp Thing, Man Thing battle. It's not from any comic; it's just from his. You know, he was just had this in his portfolio, and I was vacillating a little bit, and a friend of mine says, "Are you out of your mind? That speaks to you like to nobody else. You need to buy it." And I bought that, and I'm very thrilled. And I've seen Braun a couple times since I bought it, and he's told him how happy I am that I have this. But I think
Good
Russ
guy.
Braun could do a. What do you think, Brandon? He'd do a pretty good Man Thing there.
Does it actually say Battle of the Swamp up there?
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah,
He
he
wrote-
crushed it. I
he
like
wrote
how he gave it, like he gave him some flowing hair coming out of the back, but like it
Yep.
could also be part like tendril, like coming off the arm too. It looks wavy, like reeds of a like the grass you'd see in a swamp. And he nailed Swamp Thing. Swamp
Absolutely.
Thing got such a great. They both have great silhouettes, right? Like,
absolutely.
and it's just he crushed it. When I saw that on your video, I was like, son of a bitch, I got to talk to this guy.
go. And being black and white, I think makes it pop even more.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And,
sure.
and it just inked it perfectly. There's a sig right there. But Rand, buddy, you got a standing invitation to come see this in person, my man.
I will get down there, my friend. I promise you at some point.
So
All right, Brandon.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Brandon goes next. Here we
Yeah.
go.
I'll start off with the one thing I'm not going to show. It's a bit of a surprise that I showed you guys backstage, but I'll show you the other stuff. This was drawn for me by Bronze Age Nerd, who is another
Nice.
YouTuber, great channel. He was doing a great charity event he does called Heroes for Heroes for the veteran community, and he was auctioning off a Predator issue 1 large print signed by the cover artist Chris Warner. And I won it, and I think I won it for 35, but I was like, no way. So I sent 50. I was like, here's 50. I feel it's worth that. It's for a good cause. And then he surprised me and sent me this. He took the time to draw it. I can't draw this freaking well. He did great.
Fantastic.
So he's got the
That's
mushrooms
awesome.
and flowers coming out
Yeah,
of
I
him.
see
Love
like
it.
the little roots and all the stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just beautiful. The face, he got it. So
It
had to
almost
show
looks
that
like
off.
it looks like almost like veins, you might say, with all the branches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
He
listen,
totally did.
giant size Man Things are veiny.
Yeah, they are. They got big veins. So I had to give credit to Bronze Age Nerd. He's an
Nice.
awesome YouTuber.
All right.
Gary?
Gary, you
All
have something
we're
else?
doing- all right. So, I bought this about a year and a half ago because I love swamp creatures, and even though I had all the original issues of Man Thing, there's nothing like having a nice omnibus. And look at that!
Jeez.
Look at that goodness!
You could kill somebody with that.
I could do curls. Yes, you could. You could beat somebody to death with this thing, but then I get blood all over this beautiful book. And if you are a fan of this character, this collects both volumes of Man Thing. It collects and look at this beautiful
Ooh,
Oh, I
That's
love
awesome.
it.
Nice.
inside, right?
Buying it.
Here you go, and the back.
nice.
Love
So-
that.
And it's
That
done,
one almost made my top covers.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So this is beautiful. This also collects the magazine, the Savage Tales 1 that we've talked about. It collects all these first appearances. I know I read them off earlier to when we were backstage with Brandon and all, but it collects pretty much every damn near Man Thing appearance. Of
What's
the
that
first-
called, Gary?
It is the Man Thing. It is it's a Marvel omnibus. The Man Thing. Oh,
Okay.
So, there we go.
Dang.
So, and it's just fantastic. It's well over 1,000.
I always forget about the reruns. I'm always like frantically trying to write things down. I'm like, I can just watch this again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So it's got for everybody Savage Tales 1, Astonishing Tales
Yeah,
12,
Rich.
13, Fear 10 through 19, where he first thank you, Richard, where he first appeared. And it's got the Man Thing original run 1 through 22. It's got volume 2, 1 through 11. It's got his Marvel team up, his Marvel 2-in-1 appearances. It's got the Rampaging Hulk issue 7, And
Gotta
it's got,
love a 2-in-1 giant-sized man thing.
there you go.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's also got the Incredible Hulk 197 and 198, which was the two-parter. So if you want to see Man Thing kick Hulk's ass, there you go, suffocating him. So, you know, if you want to have pretty much complete works of the first, I guess, I don't know, 20 years of the character, here you go, or maybe 15 years of the character. It's all right there.
Great
All
coffee
right.
table book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that coffee table. That'll hold the coffee table up.
So Eric from SideQuest Comics actually wanted me to show what he sent, and I showed you backstage, and I'm going to show everyone here. So Man Thing, issue 5, page 6, which is the night laughter, the one with the clown.
There you go.
He's even holding them down here. So Eric, explain in the chat. It's like a 2-part overlay of how they used to make comics, and Eric will explain it better. I know he's still watching, but he sent this to me for my 1-year channel anniversary, and it meant the world to me.
That's amazing.
Would, you know, and
I love that.
It's Plug,
That is cool.
and it's freaking
It's
awesome, Plug.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this has the hole at the bottom. Humans bury their dead, so this one must be laid to rest. You must dig a hole and drop him in. And like it's just acknowledging that he's not human anymore.
Wow.
So yeah, go ahead, Uncle Gary. Because I got more to show too. Eric will chime in the chat, I'm sure. And,
All right. Well,
I'll bring that up as soon as he does.
all right, here we go. This will be my grand finale. So we've talked a lot about, we made the jokes about giant-sized man things. We've talked a lot about it tonight. So for all of you that've been waiting, you've been waiting for me to finally whip out my giant-sized man thing. I am going to do it for you. And I'm going to do it once.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to do it twice.
Oof.
There we go. I'm going to
some
do it
great
3
covers.
times. Yes,
Great
there.
covers in this
lady.
run.
Yes, there. I'm going to do it 3 times.
Pop
3
into
times a
the
lady?
Now, yes, 3 times, lady. And now I'm going to give you a real up close and personal view of it. There's the 4th. And here we go with a lady. There we go.
All right.
Giant sized man.
Look at his eyes on that one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Come hither, come slither.
Yeah.
So
It was
There
a
you go.
production proof before they went to print. That's what
Yes.
it was.
Yep. That's what it is.
absolutely. So there,
Yep.
there for all of you been waiting, my giant sized man thing. Thank you.
Well done. Doug Bakken in the chat, along with that Man Thing comic, sent me a piece of
There.
art done by Landon Huber. And he said to check out the stuff he does, and this is pretty bad.
Ooh.
Oh wow, look
That's-
at that.
That's
Right?
awesome. That's gorgeous.
Winner,
Yeah.
winner, chicken dinner. Look at that. That is
And
fantastic.
artist, signature down there.
Great signature too.
He says to check this out. I haven't had a chance to check it out online of the other work he does, but I guess he's badass. So Doug, thank you. And
Almost like he's like
my
rolling
last,
out of the swamp.
this is the
Awesome.
jewel of my collection as a Man Thing fan, signed by
There you go.
Bruner and Roy
Oh,
Thomas.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh,
Roy
nice.
Thomas is down there. It's hard. The ink was running out,
Right.
so I can only get it. But Frank
Bruner,
Bruner-
great signature. Great signature by Buner.
yeah, when I saw this, I knew that it was like fate that I have it, and it's only 8 others on the census at this grade and 4 higher for signature series. And I just never. I look all around to try to find Bruner's signature is not out there a lot.
Have you met him before?
I haven't. Have
I
you?
haven't either. No.
I would die to. But this is just the jewel of. If the house is on fire and I can save one book, this is the
This
book
is
I'm
it.
saving. Yeah.
This is it, huh?
That is beautiful, and gosh, what a high grade! You know,
Thank
Buner,
you.
his Bronze Age. He did a lot of
amazing.
Marvel Bronze Age horror covers that are pretty cool too.
Oh, he did. So when I
Yeah.
sent this in to get signed by Thomas, it was a 9.4, and it got a grade bump somehow.
Nice.
So
Can't beat that.
I think it's because they
Can't beat
felt bad that the signature was so weak compared to Bruner's. They're like, shit, we're gonna give him a grade bump. You could tell the ink was running out of the pen, but it's okay. I know it's there. And so yeah, very
It's
grateful.
TGC. They probably mix it up with the book beside it, and that guy's getting it back. Be like, this was a 9.6. Why is it a 9.4? This is
There's no Marvel value stamp in that one either. Joke's on him. But no, seriously, that's I love that book. I love
That is beautiful.
Thank you,
I was
brother.
gonna say,
Thank you.
I thought 2 more artists I thought would be good to draw Man Thing. There's an artist, Steve Epting. You know, I remember he
Oh
had
yeah,
like
yeah.
a nice gritty style to him that I think would fit it. And Mark Teixeira, I think would do really good. I remember, all the stuff that he did. He's done a lot of stuff, but like all the stuff that he did on Ghost Rider, I think he would do really well on Man Thing too.
Yeah.
Because he would always do like the art, but he would do some
really well on Man
like
Thing.
painted stuff, kind of stuff in there too. That would be a good mix.
Definitely.
God, you guys know your shit.
Well, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think this wraps up this episode of Comic Character of the Week. Brandon, thank you for joining us. And
pleasure's all on
sharing
this
your
side of the table,
Pleasure's
gentlemen.
on this side of the table.
When I get to hang out with you guys, and Dan finally got to hang out, I'm slowly marking. I slowly got my checklist of Codex players that
Your
I'm
Codex
crossing
bingo
off.
card?
Yes,
Codex
exactly.
bingo card. There you go.
Exactly.
He's got a checklist card, like for the like whenever you get the card set and you got the little checklist to check them off.
I've got your pictures next to it with everyone's Man Things. It's great.
Brandon,
There you go.
invitation's always open. Come on,
you guys showing off all your art now. It makes me want to go draw some
Man Things.
Go draw some Man Things.
Yeah, you do fantastic art, by the way, Dan. I meant to tell you,
he does.
The Spectre you did for Gary and all the work you did for everyone else. You're a very talented man, and I wanted to convey that to you. And it's my turn to have you guys on my channel next. So I think that will have to be. I'm not going to throw his name out there because we want to solidify things yet, but we can have a chance for our channels to bring together two very wise individuals in this hobby and show some pieces of history that would be really fun. And so let's try to get that set up ASAP.
I would love that.
Right.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Brandon, did you see the swamp thing that Dan made for me?
Yes, I did see that too. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. You're a genius,
amazing.
Dan. People, if I could put one ounce of that
I think it was
talent in my Man Thing, I'd be a much better man.
There you go.
Because I was sitting, I have one of. I don't like to use it that much. 'Cause it's kind of awkward to draw, but like the drawing boards where you can clip something to and draw it. I did that, and I was sitting on my couch drawing it, and I told my wife, I was like, I don't know how the hell anyone ever produces a monthly Swamp Thing book. Like, I'm just drawing the head, and this is and the shoulders, and this is taking me freaking forever.
These guys are so skilled, man.
Brandon, that book is going to CGC, and I'm going to get a Dan Kelly signature.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. I got it in my cabinet. I got a stack of sketch covers that I've drawn. I got them in my.
You are a CGC recognized artist, correct?
Yes, he is.
I got one book graded so far. I got a Rocketeer sketch cover that I did grade, and I gave it to my dad for Christmas.
Nice.
God,
Nice.
Bless your heart, man. That's great.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That makes that
All
warms
right,
my
folks.
heart.
Yep. Let's go ahead and put this puppy to bed then. I am your host, Sal the Slab Guy. You can always find me on Sal's Comic Corner when I'm not here on the Codex Station. Down below, we got Dan the Man Kelly. Give a quick shout out where they can find you, Dan.
Well, we all know that we can always find you on the corner with your Man Thing.
That's right. Hold my man thing. That's right.
Sal calls him Ted.
That's right. Because he's called Ted.
That's right.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. If you want to check out my art like they were talking about, you go check it out on there. Check out my Kickstarter. Like I said, I think it's 11 days or 12 days, something left in it. I'm a little over halfway there. So go pick something and get me to draw it for you and then give me your money for it. That's how it works. So I can use that money to go buy comics. So I can help fulfill my my comic goals, like for the video that we all posted.
That's true.
But
That's
then
true.
after you do that, you go check out this guy. Well, check out Brandon's station, M.O.N Comics, which is awesome. I didn't know what M.O.N.
I was saving him for last, but go ahead.
Gary, I was like, what the hell does M.O.N stand for? And he said middle of nowhere. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it makes sense. His channel's great. The stuff this guy, the Ric Flair of comics, has got going on is great. And he's going to tell you about that right now.
All right. Just real quick, I am proud co-owner of Comic Logic. We're Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please come see us. We would love to see you. And we have a really big event coming for Free Comic Book Day, May the 4th. And it's also Star Wars Day. We have Brendan Wayne, who plays the Mandalorian when the helmet is on. He will be signing, and he's also John Wayne's grandson, which is pretty damn cool, too. So please come see us there. We'd love to have you and meet Mr. Brendan Waynes. Come see us. And also much love to our good buddy, Archduke Kevy, that created the Comic Character of the Day site that we all contribute to. I do a cover. Dan does a panel and a question of the day. And please come see us. see what we're doing there. And Sal's always a frequent contributor there. Sal, where am I kicking it to, buddy? Kicking it to you?
Kick it to me because I want to go ahead and let Brandon give his spiel as well.
All right.
Kick it!
Also, and you can find him under Sal's Comic Corner, Sal the Slab Guy. And, you know, he got that when he was a young intern working at the morgue. So that's why he's Sal the Slab Guy, because he that's where he as a matter of fact, that's where he stores his comics too. He tells us that maybe he has a storage unit, but it's really the morgue. That's where he has his best books preserved for all eternity in a nice, cool, dank place. So check him out, Sal the Slab Guy, Sal's Comic Corner, the man, the host with the most, the man that keeps this train running straight and narrow on the tracks.
I try. Thank you very much, Uncle Gary. But I want to give a special thank you to Brandon for coming on our channel and doing this. So please, Brandon, tell everybody in the world, because everybody in the world watches this station, where they can find you.
Simple. YouTube, M.O.N Comics, and same on Instagram. Just search M.O.N Comics. Come follow me. I try to keep up as much as I can with posting on Instagram for what I'm doing. And if I'm coming on shows such as your guys, I'm either going to put it in my stories throughout the week and then make a post. And you can really keep up with where I'm going to be on or who I'm going to have on my show there. So both those places, same name. Try to keep it simple.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Everybody, please check him out. All right. This wraps it up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I hope you guys have a 9.8 day.
Gaping holes.
I knew you were going to throw that in.
You know what else you could throw in gaping holes is a giant-sized man.
Man thing.
That is absolutely right. You're correct, sir.
And that's where we're ending it now.